Madam, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so we have Mr. Manoj Kumar Singh from Power Grid. Mr. Mehta has also joined, and we also have Dr. Singh from DST.
Okay. Okay. Rituraj sir, but your presentation is, it's working?
Yes, I just took a trial run and it is visible to Mr. Akhil. So all set. Thank you.
रेडियम वाला थोड़ी भरना है। रेडियम के बाद का कुछ काम तो कर नहीं रहे हैं। रेडियम के बाद तो भरें कुछ नहीं है। नो ऑन रेडियम सर, दुनिया सब भेज रहा है।
Hello. Join already. Yes.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Welcome, Dr. Ashok ji, Dr. Ashok Kumar Singh. Very good morning and welcome.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर। गुड मॉर्निंग।
Good morning.
Shivaji, very good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग। गुड मॉर्निंग। गुड मॉर्निंग
Everyone.
Okay.
So good to see you. Dr. Vijay Madali, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go Saab.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank
Very
you. I
good.
think we are riding on the success of the first day of this eConclave. I think I'm sure the tempo, the momentum is set, and I'm sure the audience which is joining us on our bike platform. So yesterday, one of the speakers, they asked me that we only have 31 people on this call. And then I actually had to tell everyone who were connected that these are 31 dignitaries and experts, including the minister, who is there on the WebEx call, but on FICCI's bike platform, where the participants are connecting and joining us, that was over 600 at that time. So we have a dedicated platform for e-conferences and such webinars, which is called a bike platform. FICCI owns that platform. And in fact, we encourage our members from the private and public sector and even government agencies to use, like we're doing it right now, to actually make the most of that platform. And we would love to extend our support, technical support of providing that platform for mega events. Almost five times the Honorable Prime Minister has made address to the nation, in fact to the industries, on using that platform. So I'm sure today also the number is increasing as we speak, as we inch closer to 11 o'clock. We have Dr. Muzaffar Ahmed, Honorable former member, NDMA. Dr. Saab, very, very good morning. Thank you so much.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Chandanji. Good to see you. Good everybody. Good morning.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Dr. Ahmed, former member, National Management Authority. One of the strongest pillars of the CIDM board at FICCI, and it is General Bhardwaj and Dr. Ahmed and Mr. Mansingh, and of course Mr. Rajeshwar Rao from the Prime Minister's office. These are the four pillars, and I would like to mention here late Shri S. Krishnan Saab, former Secretary Government of India, who may not be with us today, but for his blessings are with us at all times. He was also an active member of the CIDM board, and traveled with us across the nation with the flag of CIDM to states, chief ministers, chief secretaries, and propagate the idea of building capacities in industries to deal with extreme events. So I'm sure Dr. Ahmed is with us today, and I would request as soon as we reach 11 o'clock, we start this session, I would request Dr. Ahmed to make opening remarks before we get on to the technical session 3, the first session today of this very important eConclave on fostering cyclone resilience amongst industries, infrastructure, and communities. So the 3-day event is our second day. But sir, I was just briefly talking yesterday after the minister was there for almost hour and a half.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
That physical events, they seem very challenging when we used to do them. But then everything was under one roof. Every speaker was under one roof. It was far easier to manage it than it is now. Although it seems a no-brainer that organizing a webinar, just connecting people online, and everyone is at the comfort of their homes, it's easy. But the sort of effort which the team has to put in, I think led by Akhil, Mainak, Sanjeev, and Varun, I think sometimes I lose my mind, but I am so glad we have some cool heads with us who make this happen. And I think yesterday's event was a grand success, where we had every single possible stakeholder and the head of that organization present during that inaugural session, which has to do even remotely anything with cyclone subject and cyclone mitigation. I think it was Dr. Saab, your comment, sir. Dr. Saab, you're on mute, please. If you could unmute yourself. Dr. Ahmed, if you could unmute yourself, sir. You are on mute. Sir, yes.
Rubab, I must compliment you and your team, and also Executive Director, NIDM, and Professor Gupta for this webinar. And yesterday was an excellent, where we had Honorable Minister and all the key people who are dealing with the cyclone.
Dr. Ghosh, sir, Dr. Ghosh.
Yeah, Dr. Ghosh, and we had almost Dr. Chandan Ghosh and everyone. I'm sorry, because West Bengal, even now in Goa, Pondicherry, Tamil Nadu, and all the places. I'm sure such webinars are going to be of immense help. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed, for your encouragement and always being, behind us as a pillar of support and inspiration. And I think wherever we are today. And I think yesterday's inaugural session is a testimony of the traction which CIDM board in partnership with NIDM has been able to achieve, especially in the past 1 year when it was supposed to be the most difficult time of COVID. I think starting with 15th of May, I think 7th of May was when the Vizag gas leak happened. 9th of May was when the NDMA released restarting of industries guidelines. And we were involved with NDMA back then. Even on that day, I remember when those were released, they had sent it to CIDM board to review. And we swung into action immediately. And 15th of May was the first webinar where we started talking about those new guidelines. Since then, we organized almost 8 webinars, several online training programs, eConclaves on earthquake. And I think we've been able to reach out to over 15,000 industry delegates, industry professionals, administrators, government officials, and professionals across the country. And I think something which has been duly acknowledged by the National Authority and the Ministry of Home Affairs in a way that the core committee, which has been formed by the National Disaster Management Authority to review the national guidelines on disasters, chemical disasters, the set of guidelines which were released in 2007, they have been revised, and FICCI is the only private sector member in that core group to review, and 2 of the 9 chapters in that revised guidelines will have FICCI's role and FICCI's inputs. So you have 5 line ministries in that core group. You have several IITs and MNITs, and FICCI is very happy to and very proud to be a part of that core group. So I think General Bhardwaj, yourself, Dr. Ahmed, Mansingh Saab, late Sri Krishnan, and Rao Saab, I think they've been we've been very fortunate to have you as our guides and inspiration. Thank you so much again. And I'm really pleased that we had some outstanding lineup of speakers yesterday. And now that we have crossed 11 o'clock, I would like to formally welcome and a very warm good morning to all the dignitaries and the expert speakers who've joined us today, and also the participants who joined us from different corners of this country, even from neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. I would like to welcome again Dr. Ahmed, Dr. Ghosh from NIDM, Mr. Rituraj Mehta, who's also the co-chair of the FICCI Committee on Disaster Management and Corporate Head Safety and B Initiatives at Adani Power. We have Dr. Vijay Kumar Madali from Australia. He would be talking on something very interesting. Whatever gist or synopsis I've heard about his upcoming presentation today, I think I'm very excited, and so will be the audience who have joined us. We have Manoj Kumarji from Power Grid. Thank you so much, Manojji, for sparing time and joining us. Thank you also for supporting this very initiative, for your technical and financial support as well. Power Grid has been very kind, and they endorse what we are doing, and we are happy to have partners in Power Grid. I would also like to welcome Shri Subir Sahaji. Yes, Subir Sahaji, who's the Executive Director, Power Finance Corporation of India. A very warm welcome and good morning, Subirji, for joining us today morning. Thank you so much for your patronage and your support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Subirji. Thank you. Good. Now we have all the speakers in place. I would before we move on to the first technical session, which is technical session 3 of this eConclave on analyzing risk of cyclones in power sector, which would also include some recommendations, I would request, because Shri Rajeshwar Rao, who's the Senior Advisor, Additional Secretary in the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, I would not say unfortunately, but fortunately, he is not with us right now. He could not make it at the last minute because there is some good news in his family. You know, his daughter is going the family way, so he could not come, but he has shared his best wishes and blessings with us from the Prime Minister's office. In his absence, I would request Dr. Chandan Ghosh, who's the head for Resilient Infrastructure Division at National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Home Affairs, to please take charge and chair this all-important session. Dr. Ahmed, with your permission, I think as Rao Saab is not here, we are requesting Dr. Chandan Ghosh to chair the session
Please
today.
go ahead. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
On that note, Dr. Ghosh, over to you, and all the best to all the esteemed panelists. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rewab, for giving such a wonderful coverage of what has been done and what is going to be in this session as a power. And it is a very powerful group that we have 4 speakers here from 4 different areas that they are talking about. One is about the Dr. Rituraj Mehta, who is also co-chairing FICCI Center on Committee on Disaster Management, and also looking after the corporate head safety and Adani Power Limited, Adani Transmission, everything, Adani Infrastructure Management Services, road and water business. So, and also we have, of course, Subir Saha from this as an executive director from Power Finance. So here, the finance, when we meet with the power and production, distribution and management and infrastructure, I think it is a really perfect group here. And also Dr. Vijay Madali from Yes Yantra, which is an Indian company that they store power, produce power in a storage battery, mega battery. So it is not only that power distribution, it is also finance, management and storage. And so in that way, then, and Power Grid Corporation, that which we know that Power Grid Corporation is the most the PSU. We have PSU, finance, and then Adani, that who is posting all these things, power distribution. So I hope these 4 speakers, they will make this session really powerful, par excellence, beyond the power that we are talking about with recommendation. So from my side, I would say that you will stick to whatever time is allotted, even though we have lost about around 8 minutes. But I would say that please address as much as you can, because it is an eConclave here, where whenever new things are coming up, new additions that you are doing, we'll take it up and summarize it. So in the first, I would request Dr. Rituraj Mehta from Adani Power Limited to place his views, and after that we'll see. Thank you, Dr. Rituraj.
If you allow, I could quickly read out a brief introduction of Rituraj Mehta.
Okay. Yeah,
I would also like to welcome, take an opportunity to welcome Dr. Ashok Kumar Singh from National Geospatial Platform of Department of Science and Technology. Soon, for the next session, we'll be joined by Dr. Devapriya as well. Dr. Ashok Kumar will be co-chairing the next session, along with also a very warm welcome to Sri Sushil Gupta ji Thank you so much, Sushilji, for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, before we, as suggested by the chair, before we have Rituraj Mehta ji speak on the subject, on his presentation, a brief outline, a brief introduction. Mr. Mehta is a corporate professional in the field of safety and business excellence with over 26 years of experience and exposure in major industrial business sectors like automobile, chemicals, textiles, cement, energy, and financial services. He has worked with renowned business brands like Birla Chemicals, Grasim, Ultratech Cement, and Adani Power. A graduate in chemical engineering from NIT Raipur, presently is leading the drive for safety culture transformation in thermal power, transmission, food, water, cement, and EML business. On that note, over to you, Mr. Mehta.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And good morning to all. I hope I am audible. Okay, so is it visible to all? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So thanks again, Vicky, for share my thoughts on the subject, which is analyzing risk of cyclone in the power sector, along with some recommendations. As has been shared by Mr. Rubab and Dr. Chandan, that I represent Adani Power and Adani Transmission business. In a nutshell, I can say that it's actually energy vertical which we are talking about. As far as Adani is concerned, we all know that we do have 6 different power locations available across India, out of which 2 locations are at the coastal belt. Majorly, one is in Gujarat and another one is in Karnataka. So this subject is actually quite significantly important to us, and we are actually the people who are physically observing, facing this challenge in terms of cyclone, and we take care that we prepare ourselves and with the minimum losses how we can survive and continue to serve to the nation. This subject is actually knowledge is vastly available across the net, and everybody can go through it and understand that what kind of things are there as far as disasters are concerned when we talk about cyclone specifically. So what I'm doing is I'm just limiting my thoughts to the power sector and impact of cyclone, and what are the major risks we analyze, and how we act upon those risks in order to mitigate, and what are the things we prepare ourselves, how do we categorize, and specifically our actions. Forgive me, this time I have covered major text part because many of the things are very important to understand and follow when it comes to facing or preparing for any cyclone like disaster. So with that, earlier, that frequency and severity of natural hazards actually increased day by day in past few decades. We observed that because of climatic change or whatsoever reason, out of which cyclone is more serious as far as its frequency and severity is concerned. And it has past 2 decades we have observed that it has alarmingly increased. And in India at coastal belt, we have observed the impact of these like cyclones in past few years. When we talk about India, we all know that necklace of India is around 7516 kilometer, and as has been shared by our eminent speaker earlier, that 71% of this area is covered by 10 states, majorly Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Andhra Pradesh, Orissa, and West Bengal. And if you can see in the picture, the pink shaded part of this necklace is severely prone to get affected from the cyclone, or has been affected in previous time. So we can always imagine that what kind of impact cyclone disaster makes on our economic and physical development of the country. And it is very important for us to safeguard these.
I think there is a technical issue at Mr. Mehta's end.
Yeah, there's a connection problem, I think.
Anna, I think Mr. Mehta, we lost your voice in between. Yeah, we lost your voice. Can you please switch off your camera, because maybe there's a bandwidth issue at your end. If you could switch off your camera, and yes.
Okay. Now it is audible. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. So probably bandwidth was the issue because of this, which my voice was not audible. So I was talking about this, I don't know whether you heard it or not, but then pinkish shade of this necklace of India is the area which is affected severely when it comes to cyclone impact. And coastal line is around 7516 kilometer, of which 71% of this area is covered by 10 states, as has been described. And majorly Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, we observe that around 5 to 6 tropical cyclones are there every year, and we are exposed to around 10% of world's tropical cyclone, world over. So what a point I was trying to make was it is very important for us to safeguard the physical and economical development of the country against the cyclone impact. And when we talk about physical and economical development, critical infrastructure are the backbone. And when we talk about critical infrastructure, power infrastructure is one of those critical infrastructure which really contributes in the economical and physical development of the country, especially in coastal areas. So these are some of the cyclones we all know that previously how it has impacted our country, and in terms of money and in terms of human lives, and of course some damages with respect to infrastructure and other things. So we all know about this, and we also know that cyclone warning and cyclone watch is there, which help us in preparing ourselves against each kind of severe cyclone which we observe. Cyclone warning is about whenever we are expecting more than 74 miles per hour wind velocity within next 24 hours, and cyclone watch is there when there is a threat to our coast. Major risk we observe in our power plant with respect to cyclone is actually irreparable damage to the transmission line, the power disruption to the city and hospital, toppling of stacker and reclaimer in our CHP area, that is coal handling plant, then flying of loose roof sheets. Sometimes we also observe and we experience that roof sheets, because of high wind velocity, sometimes they are flying and they may create some kind of injury or some kind of incident to either human or maybe some property damage as well. Then coal feeding can be disturbed, and because of which there would be some interruption in power generation also. Then failure of building structure is another risk which we anticipate, and flooding inside the plant premises is also possible. We have observed, probably you might have gone through some news wherein you'll find that some industries are actually getting flood inside post cyclone, and there is a risk to human life. So majority of damages are due to high wind speed of up to 220 km/h, followed by flooding due to heavy rainfall. Now, out of this major risk, how do we prepare ourselves in order to see that these risks are addressed properly? So there has to be, of course, a risk assessment of our electrical power stations, power generation station, transmission lines, distribution lines, and ensuring that reliable power supply and quick restoration is there. Then there is a concept of vulnerability which we follow in our organization very extensively. I'll talk about this particular concept. So vulnerability is actually about identifying the intensity of hazard events that can lead to our critical situation. Then we also need to
Riturajji, I think we are having trouble.
again. Hello. Are you getting my voice? Are you getting my voice?
Yeah.
Hello.
Lost your voice in 15 seconds.
Now it is clear.
Like to? Yeah, it is better now. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why it is happening. Anyways, so I guess you till what point I was able to you were able to hear me. Mock drills or plant structure. Mr. Rubab, you are on mute. Sorry.
Mock drills is fine, sir. From mock drill onwards.
Okay. Thank you. So I was talking about plant structure, and plant structure are supposed to be designed considering the wind load. That is very important because the effect on the plant structure is very significant in terms of power plant, and especially chimney and NDCT, which are height is very very it's a structure with a height, I would say, and so there has to be some model studies in wind tunnel with the help of some simulation and extreme wind conditions, so that these are very prone to be vulnerable in case of any cyclone we observe. Then recovery equipment and spares inventory is supposed to be maintained so that power plant can taken in service within shortest time after disaster. That's the most important aspect of our preparedness in power plant. Now, as far as this resilience in electrical infrastructure, building resilience is concerned, so there are 3 stages: planning stage, design stage, and operational stage. So when we talk about planning stage, we need to think about strengthening the civil structure. As far as design stage is concerned, cyclone winds are actually are very heavy, so we need to use simulation, and design stage, this cyclonic wind are supposed to be simulated and used for structural analysis. So that's very important thing. And at operational stage, yes, replacement of existing overhead distribution system and underground cable system would definitely be helping us, and conversion of bare overhead conductor to ABC cables where underground system cannot be adopted in near future. So these are the things which helps us in building a resilience in electricity infrastructure. Now, some of the new technologies are also available. I would not go into detail, but we can use the cable transit system and utility tunnels and availability of contingency tower, which can be erected fastly, and so that electrical lines can be restored in case of any impact is there from the cyclone. So these are very important thing, and use of technology is very much important when we talk about our preparedness in power sector. So how do we act? So there are 3 categories. Hello.
We can hear you. Yes. we
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay. So how do we act? So we categorize this into three part. One is prior to the arrival of cyclone. Second is during cyclone crossing period and heavy rain. And third is post cyclone. So prior to arrival is the most important, comparatively to all 3 points, because whatever we prepare prior to arrival will definitely help us in in successfully completing other 2 points as well. So first point is about prior to arrival, where we need to check the entire water drainage system, including channels. Then we also need to check the roof drainage of all buildings and storage tanks. We need to pre-arrange dewatering pump to assist pump out low-lying areas, and also we need to position the diesel-operated pumps at strategic location, especially at if you have edge dike area and other locations. Then we need to conduct a safety patrol and make vigilance with the help of CCTV of the plant area. In our case, we have put at all locations with CCTV, and there is a control room through which we observe the condition. We also need to check the routes of boilers and conveyor gantries for any gaps. We also need to conduct pre-cyclone meeting with HODs and station head. That's very important, because with this meeting we can really assess the situation and plan out that what things are supposed to be taken care of. Then arranging some bus transport as required. Sometimes it happens that cars may not be able to move safely, cars and bikes even. So we need to arrange something as transportation system for our employee and other humans whenever it is required. So we need to be ready with that. Then we also need to stock sufficient food items so that in case of any cyclone, we are sufficient food is available for anybody who is trapped there or who cannot move from a particular location. We also need to ensure the availability of torch lights and dry batteries. We all know why. Then emptying ETPs, neutralizing pits, and ensure availability of pumps are very important aspect of our preparation prior to arrival of cyclone. Some more points are: we need to park overhead cranes in safe position and engaging the lock. We all are aware that few months back, when there was a situation in Orissa, and one crane was specifically, we could observe one unfortunate incident when this crane fallen down on a building structure and how it has damaged, and there was a video regarding that. Then we also need to refuel the vehicles, especially fire tenders, ambulances, forklifts, and cranes, because these vehicles would be required in case of emergency. Check the healthiness of communication system, that is walkie-talkie and CCTV systems would definitely help us. We also need to ensure that fire station and first aid centers are adequately staffed and equipped. Remove the loose objects from higher elevation and secure, which cannot be removed, because many a time, because of high wind velocity, these objects are prone to fly from the top and fall on some person who is moving around. We also need to avoid going to the field alone when it is heavy raining and windy. We normally release the advisory regarding this. We also need to avoid going to the higher elevation, and if required, mandatory, then we need to wear the safety belt and tie the lifeline to the nearest structure available. We need to arrange to have free-standing scaffolding removed. Sometimes it happens that some job is being carried out and scaffolding free-standing is there, and it may create some harm to the person. So we need to ensure. We also need to ensure that hydrogen cylinders per units and availability of hydrogen cylinders and carbon dioxide sets. Then ensuring battery operated instrument fully charged and boost charging for all batteries are there. We also need to ensure that barricading of entrance of all underground tunnels by sandbags to be is there. Then we also need to be ready with the condenser diaphragm for all units. Then what we need to practice is all our HODs along with electrical, CNI and turbine group to remain present in switchyard control room and main unit control room during the cyclone to handle any emergency situation. So this is a prior preparation that how we will be present there. No work permit would be should be planned, and permit will be cancelled if it is there as per the emergency call. Then operation head to remain in touch with grid officials, power grid and other grid officials. Then boom structure to be properly locked, staker reclaimer to be placed in parking area, anchored and locked with parking support structure. Bunker levels in running units to be made full before cyclone. Conveyors and equipments to be stopped before cyclone. Coal unloading to be stopped, and frequent surveillance of edge dike is also required. Now that was about prior to arrival. Suppose there is a situation when cyclone is crossing and heavy rains are being observed. So what we are supposed to do is there is a entitlement of chief incident controller who will be in touch with district authorities to know the exact situation of cyclone and to receive specific guidelines. The HODs and their staff should be available in the respective plants and departments. In case of anything is required, they can act upon immediately. If required, plant load can be reduced according to the situation. Avoid going to the field, ये हम लोग पहले भी बात कर चुके हैं. Then a close watch is required to be kept on plant operating parameters, which is very important. Pumps will be operated to prevent the stormwater channel from flowing. And then in case of fire, emergency or medical emergency, the response team to be alerted and first aider to attend the casualties. All communication during emergency will be as per the communication chart of emergency management plan. That is very important because what happens is in case of emergency, sometimes people are so excited that everybody wants to contribute. And in order to doing so, there is a saying that too many cooks spoil the food. Here in case of emergency, too many contributors without any specific role may create some another harm to the human life. So it is very important that we need to have a structured communication chart through which only it is being flowed down from the designated authority. Then plant vigilance will also need to be done with the help of CCTV. Now, post cyclone and heavy rain condition, we need to advise all clear when cyclone has passed the area and winds are at such a level that it is safe for any person to conduct survey of affected areas. Area operators are supposed to carry out visual check of the respective area. Check the intactness of sheets and of boilers and conveyors so that in case of any another high wind velocity scenario, these sheets are not prone to harm anybody. CNI shall carry out thorough check of fields and control room instruments, DCS and other systems. Then electrical department shall carry out thorough check of switch gear room, substations, EDGs and other systems. Post-cyclone meeting shall be conducted by station head. That's how the structured preparation and action is there from any power plant location and their respective team is concerned. So we do have some recommendation in addition to all this preparation and act how we can go ahead in future. Of course, we have observed in past few months or few years, I would say, whenever some kind of cyclone is there or warning is there, the government machinery and all other people were able to evacuate people on time and the losses were minimized. So what we can do further is to have a collective response from all stakeholders. It's not stockholders, I'm sorry. So printing mistake. So all stakeholders means when we talk about any cyclone-like situation, when an area is prone to have cyclone, observe cyclone. So what we are supposed to do is to have a joint response from government machinery, public and private sector. So there has to be a platform wherein all three come together and decide about what things are supposed to be done. Of course, guideline will be issued by the competent authority only. But then when it comes to act and respond, so joint response will always be helping us, us means everybody, every stakeholder, whenever we are going to have a cyclone in our respective area. Then we talk about vulnerability. So this concept we are following in our businesses of power and transmission businesses, and almost all business now in Adani Group are following this particular concept. This concept is about our approach towards looking at any risk and hazard. So we see that how vulnerable we are to our surroundings, our areas, our atmosphere, and atmospheric condition. So that's how, with that approach, we can have a survey, and we can always identify risk associated with it. We can just make some index out of it, and we can act upon the high risk observations accordingly. And that's how we regularly conduct this survey and ensure ourselves that things are in place and we are quite safe. We also need to recognize our better preparedness. So what happens is, whenever cyclone is there and people have been able to face it with minimum loss, we need to have some platform wherein preparedness of government machinery or an industry or any other institute should be recognized by the people. So good things are recognized is very important to all of us. This is how we can always encourage the robustness of our preparedness as far as cyclone is concerned. Then public drills also, I think there has to be some emphasis on this particular aspect of our preparedness, as the scenario and specifically in the area which are more affected due to cyclone, we can always conduct these kind of things. Then academic interventions, which are very much required. And I'm happy to see that one of our eminent speaker is from, I guess, academics sector only. So in case of awareness, some new technology is available, knowledge is even to the school level, from the school level to the college level, and also to the private industry. If some kind of awareness of major happenings in the world can be created with respect to cyclone, will always be helpful to us. So vulnerability check, when I was talking about, it is relevant to all SOPs, operating parameters, then inspection and maintenance practices, critical interlocks, and we also have pre-startup checklist, and of course about people competency and skills. In the end, I would say that we believe that past performance in managing cyclone does not guarantee that our future performance of managing cyclone will always be similar. So we also always need to be alert, as cyclone risks are dynamic, needs a continuous and consistent management of that. And risk perception varies among individuals, resulting in varying risk tolerance. So we need to be careful about that. Of course, recognition of risk by itself does not result in risk reduction. So we need to act upon that. So that's a major important part I wanted to share. So that's all about my thoughts on this subject. Thank you so much for your time. I'm able to finish in the time.
Thank you, Dr. Rituraj Mehta. And if you, okay, we'll go to the next one, but you can see your chat box. Some questions are there which we would like to address. It is written to your personal chat box. Especially, you say that as cyclones.
Yeah, it is there. I have seen that. So am I supposed to answer right now or after this session?
What, Rubab, you think?
If you feel comfortable, you can answer these questions actually while you're there, and we'll take up questions at the end as well.
So there are 3-4 questions available. I'll try if I can answer right now only. First question is about we may show some measures or problems faced by our organization due to cyclone. Yes, of course, we have faced our place like Mundra and Udupi, which are prone to high velocity. We have observed many a time that our sheets, structure of boiler and other structure roof, they are flying, and we don't have any control. And how to do that when we never know that these are flying and falling on a person who is moving in some other direction? And because of wind velocity, the distance is so far from the original position of the sheet, you cannot anticipate that in which direction it would be there and how far it will go. So what is one thing which we have ensured is we have created a system called safety checks and assurances. So safety checks and assurances, we normally what we do is we have divided our area into 5 different geographical location. We call it PIC 1 to PIC 5, and all these locations are supposed to topics in a quarter every time, and they need to declare that these are the 3 topics we are taking under safety checks and assurances. They develop checklist on them. They create a standard checklist. They make a survey, and they ensure that these checklists are complied with. Once they do it, after completion of that quarter, they declare officially that as far as this system is concerned, we assure you that our robustness are in place. That's how we are ensuring that these kind of problems does not repeat to us. Second question is about
Rituraji, I think we'll take the questions after the presentations are made, so that it will be in a flow and we could take over.
Okay.
No problem. Thank you.
Meanwhile,
Thank you so much.
if you want to type and answer those questions, please feel free to type.
Sure, I'll do. No problem. Thank you.
As the chair has now mentioned that we can go on to the next speaker, Mr. Saha, I just would like to take a moment and thank all our partners who have backed this eConclave, who come out to support this initiative. GIS partner ISRI India, associate sponsors GAIL India, Indian Oil Corporation, Power Grid, and RMSI. We have Mr. Sushilji also from RMSI present. Thank you so much, Sushilji, for your continued patronage. Manojji from Power Grid, 2 of our sponsors are here in this, signed in with us. Thank you so much for all your support. And of course, I would like to thank the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, the National Disaster Management Authority, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, and National Institute of Disaster Management, Ministry of Home Affairs. Going on, before we request Mr. Subir Saha, who is the Executive Director in Power Finance Corporation of India, a brief introduction he completed his BTech in Mechanical Engineering from National Institute of Technology, Durgapur. In 1996-97, he completed Master of Business Administration in Management from University of Ljubljana in Slovenia, Faculty of Economics, one of the most beautiful cities I would say and to visit. He's an expert in power strategy.
चलो कोई नहीं, छोड़ दो. अच्छा, दूसरा मैं ये बोला था, मेरे को कुछ बताओ, अपना जो डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट प्लान है उसको अपन रिहर्स कितना फ्रीक्वेंसी पे करते हैं? साल में 1 बार या साल में 2 बार?
Riturajji, if you could please put your mic on mute. Riturajji, if you could please put your mic on mute. Thank you. So on that note, I would now request Mr. Subir Saha to please come forward.
Yeah. I suppose I am audible now?
Yeah, now it is audible.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. Brief start. I won't take much of a time. I first thank Fiki for calling me to share this particular forum with this great thinkers. I think it is, I must appreciate of calling me. A brief introduction about myself has already been given. I'll just add up. In 1985, I graduated from RDC Durgapur. In Ljubljana, I did my international MBA. I was working with BHEL, and then I joined Power Finance Corporation. So all these years, I mean, it's pretty long time in Power Finance Corporation. I'm working with them. I am in charge of the IPDS program from PFC side. PFC being the nodal agency for implementation of IPDS, Integrated Power Development Program, focusing into distribution sector. This is a very flagship program of Government of India. I also look after the operation of projects division, that is financing of power projects, etc., of Power Finance Corporation in the southern region of this country. I will focus my discussion today towards this distribution sector only. I thought that may be relevant. I must thank Mr. Rituraj Mehta. He has done a great job. Beautiful presentation. He has dealt quite in detail about Cyclone, etc. He has talked about the importance, the threat, the preparedness required, restoration, the time required. He has also dealt with SOP, the standard operating procedure of etc., etc. I think very well dealt. I will not go into that detail. I will try to connect it with the IPDS RAPDRP program of Government of India and what is being done. I'll request Ashok to change the slide. We can start the presentation. Just to give you a small brief about IPDS. IPDS was launched by Government of India in 2014, December 2014. This is basically to fund sub-transmission and distribution network in the urban areas. Parallelly, there is a program that is managed by our sister organization, REC. They were doing this similar type of work in the rural areas. Both this program together, and before this, these two programs, IPDS and Din Dayal Upadhyay in the rural areas, before this, there were two other programs. One REC was managing, that was Rajiv Gandhi RGGVY in short. And in the urban areas, the program was RAPDRP. So the new program, IPDS, actually subsumed both the earlier programs. Through this program, actually, central government is supplementing the efforts of all these DISCOMs to strengthen their sub-transmission distribution network, metering, etc., etc. They are basically reformed linked as well. It is connected, or their performance of the DISCOM is also connected with the funding, etc. There are a few components in IPDS. The major one is, I said, sub-transmission and distribution. I suppose this particular program, this particular talk is more connected to the strengthening of sub-transmission and distribution network. I would like to underline this particular part. This is a responsibility of the state power utilities. They are managing their own sub-transmission and distribution network. Central government, through these central programs, intervening with technical and financial support to the power utilities. That is why I use the word central government is supplementing the efforts of utilities towards strengthening the distribution sector more. See, there are certain basic purposes when we started this IPDS program. The priority areas were 24/7 power supply to urban consumers, reduction of AT&C losses to 15%, and providing access of electricity to all urban household, which is there as of now at this moment. Parallelly, similar thing is happening, and as nodal agency, RDC was doing it in the rural areas as well. We'll go to the next slide. Just to give you an understanding or idea about the size of this particular program, IPDS, the outlay was 32,000 odd, and including RAPDRP, if you look at it, more or less, this comes to somewhere around 70,000 crore in total for urban areas. And in rural areas, it is somewhere around 80,000 crore. So 1.5 lakh crore is invested in since, I say, 2009 onwards. This is the investment that is going into strengthening of distribution system network in the country. We'll get into the next slide. Yeah, this is actually, we just give a schematic of the funding pattern, where you will see Government of India is generally investing 60% of the fund in this distribution sector. The state utilities, they are supposed to bring only up to 10% of the project cost, and financial institutions like PFC, RDC, or any other institutions, they can bring in another 30% of the project cost. So majority is of 60% is going to the utilities as grant to strengthen their projects. There are a few states called special category states. I mean, the northeastern states, Uttarakhand, J&K, etc. They are getting their combination, their this mixture, that is 85% to them is going as grant, 5% as utility they are contributing, and 10% the lenders like PFC, REC, they are contributing. So this is the funding pattern. We'll go to the next. Yeah, the major objective of this system strengthening, the number 1 actually, number 2 and number 3 are not really related to this particular program today much. Though there is some link. Number 1 is system strengthening of sub-transmission and distribution network. So where we are working in this 33 and 11 kV network for strengthening of 33 and 11 kV network, capacity creation, the load management, etc. These also include renovation and modernization. We are the central government is funding through PFC the AV cables and underground cables as well. We will talk more about this thing, underground cable, because that is more connected to this particular program. Out of point number 2, I will mention that for giving customer support, there's a universal calling number of 1912, which is always available. So 1912 is always available. So in normal time also, any complaint can be addressed through this common number. So this is already available in the system. Yes, government is also focusing into metering of feeders, etc., etc. We'll go to the next slide. Yeah, as Mr. Rituraj Mehta has already detailed, I just mentioned a few cyclones which we had seen in past 10-12 years. I think that Andhra Pradesh cyclone Hudhud, there the losses were measured somewhere around 22,000 crore. In Orissa and Andhra Pradesh in 2013, the Orissa itself, the losses came to somewhere around 4,600 crore. I mean, this is a huge loss, and there are other cyclones that has also happened. And apart from cyclone, okay, we have seen other disasters as well in various parts, particularly Kerala. We have seen in the recent past. So we have seen tough time particularly in the distribution sector. I will not deal much in this because these things are already covered by Mr. Mehta. See, then Andhra Pradesh and cyclone Hudhud, what was damaged? I mean, just to give you an overview, I thought I will bring it before you. In the distribution sector, we have seen in Andhra Pradesh damages include DTR, is distribution transformers. Large number, 6,250, they are damaged. Conductors, 5,306 circuit kilometer, I mean. Poles, more than 74 or about 75,000 number poles are damaged, and consumers affected are more than 24 lakh. This was the situation like in Andhra Pradesh, that was the impact. In Orissa, if you look at it, 33 kV poles, more than 20,000, they are damaged. 33 kV lines, more than 6,000 circuit kilometer, I mean, they are damaged. 11 kV poles, more than 80,000. 11 kV lines, more than 34,000 kilometers. They are spoiled. LT poles are more than a lakh. LT line, more than 72,000 kilometers. PTR, I mean power transformers, 26 numbers. Distribution transformers, more than 12,000 numbers. Consumers affected are more than 46 lakh. And the damage is estimated in distribution sector as more than 1,000 crore. This is just to give you an idea the damage that happened in the due to these cyclones. We'll go to the next slide, please. See that as Mr. Rituraj Mehta has already mentioned, our country in India, more than 7,500 kilometer long coastline. And there are many ports, major cities, they have come up in this area because they are prospering areas, but they are prone to this cyclone, etc. We just listed out about the budget estimate in those coastal states. The large part is going into the coastal area of that, more than 11,000 odd crore allocated to them. This includes Andaman and Nicobar Islands as well. This is just to give you an idea, and this also indicates that more than one third of the investment is going towards these states, those who have a coastal area. We'll go to the next slide. Yeah, you see that system strengthening work in Orissa, what is done under IPDS. You see that new substations are set up around 14 numbers, and 33 by 11 kV additional transformers, 5 numbers are set up. Transformer capacity enhancement is done. Some amount of R&M is done. 33 kV feeders, 559 kilometer and 11 kV feeder, more than 1,500 kilometers are already done. AB cable more than 3,000 kilometers and UG cable 30 kilometers. Here I would like to mention, yes, in those cyclone prone areas, more UG cable is required. But obviously there will be a question why only 30 kilometers of UG cabling that was supported in Orissa. Obvious answer is when we had taken up the scheme, actually there's a conflict between urgent and important everywhere in every stage. There was some amount of allocation of fund that was decided under this IPDS to each of the states in the country, and state was given a free hand that you can decide about the distribution strengthening work you can take, giving importance to various factors as per the scheme. Though at one point of time, state might have thought that they should get in for more UG cable in the coastal areas, but seeing the requirement in other parts of the state, they decided about only 30 kilometers of UG cable. Of course, they are also investing from their own sources for setting up of UG cable in the coastal areas. New DTs, more than 3,000 numbers are set up. And of course, a lot of meters, they're all damaged. In addition, under IPDS, we had supported some solar panels, particularly on government buildings. For obvious reason, you can understand, around 750 kilowatt of solar panels were supported in Orissa under this IPDS program. And in AP, if you look at it, see 104 number of new substations are set up, and additional transformers in various substations, 42 numbers are already given. Similarly, I will focus your attention towards this AB cable. We are given 265 kilometer and UG cable 265 kilometer again. So Andhra has taken more UG cable, and most of it are in the coastal areas. They are of obviously very important, and looking at the risk of cyclone, Andhra Pradesh state decided to make more investment into UG cable area. Here also about more than 2,500 solar panels, kilowatt solar panels were installed. And most of the job, or in AP, you can say most of the job is already completed. And we are actually going towards the sunset of this IPDS program by March 22. And all work are almost over at this point of time. We'll go to the next slide. Yeah, see, the interventions under IPDS to support this restoration after a cyclone, what actually we have done, we try to summarize in major 6 points down below. Underground cable along the coastal area, we thought it is extremely important, and with state support, we have done this. We have supported GIS substations, setting up of GIS substations, including hybrid substations. That means on one side it is GIS, and the other side it is air-cooled substations. And it's not GIS on both the sides. Then we are talking about ground-mounted distribution transformers, because we found they are safer. They are better when they act better during the cyclones. If they are pole-mounted, there's more risk. Sectionalizers along 33 cable line to isolate them at the time of and after or during the cyclone, so that we can protect the system better. HVDS is introduced for obvious reasons. RMU for ring network in SCADA towns. This is extremely important. As a matter of fact, I am talking about distribution SCADA, not transmission SCADA. Distribution SCADA under RAPDRP, PFC has supported 59 SCADA towns, in 59 towns with SCADA project, and they are doing well. We'll go to the next slide. Yeah, in the IT enablement part, RAPDRP program, there's a large part that amount was committed towards IT enablement and introduction of IT into distribution sector. In IPDS also, we have an IT enablement component, which supported various activities, including their DC, DR, setting up their customer cares, call centers, SMS services, GIS mapping of distribution network is also done. We have introduced RT-DAS system also, real-time data acquisition system, and SCADA DMS system are also there, which is supporting the distribution system, where the restoration time can be reduced post any calamity. We'll go to the next. Yeah, what we recommend actually, the way we look at things, we listed around 7 points, and they're obviously very, very important. It is just to focus before you. I suppose you are already aware and you do appreciate. Underground cabling is important. GIS substation, they are compact substations housed inside a building, so they are safer. SCADA, RTDAS, they are extremely important, and we are trying to promote them in cyclone-prone areas along the coastline. Modern technologies like drones for preloading GIS maps and TND network, tower patrolling, etc., are done for quick response after a damage, after a disaster. Material management is extremely important. Mr. Rituraj Mishra was talking about delivering the right kind of material at right places before the cyclone itself, immediately on warning. I would just like to point out 1 or 2 points here. See, it is observed that span poles they act better. I mean, they are more resilient during this cyclone, during this havoc. Span poles, you're already aware, they are basically concrete poles. They are made by using centrifugal casting and spinning to produce more dense concrete. So they are better off. So span poles, we encourage span poles for carrying of electricity. They are much better. There are many such, there are few more such alternatives, but we are encouraging them, particularly in the area that is within 25 kilometers of the coastline. They are very good. Yes, here I would like to mention dumping of various important materials like cables, wires, apart from poles, and also distribution transformers at various locations. They should be kept ready. So post-disaster restoration work can be quite easy. Of course, you need good trained manpower, well-trained contractors all around, must be spread around. They should be mobilized, and every utility should be in a position to mobilize them in a short time at the right places. That's very important in the restoration work. Mr. Mehta has also dealt on this particular issue at length. The design aspects and specifications, academic professionals, they are looking into these areas, so better products are available in the system. Power infrastructure can be improved with this. So a lot of work is happening. So utilities, I mean the discoms also are picking up. They are doing better job now. I would like to mention that during a blackout, illumination during restoration time is dependent on DG sets and DC lighting. So this is also important. They are to be taken care in advance. Okay, various structures are important. Mr. Mehta has also discussed about mock drill. I will not go into detail of it. That's very important. Proper inventory of material at various places are important. With this, these are the basic recommendation, and I will not get into the SOPs of distribution companies. As a matter of fact, all the distribution companies, they have their own SOPs in place, so they are well aware what to do, how to go about it during a disaster. But just to repeat, central government through IPDS and RAPDRP program in the distribution sector and in rural areas, with RGGVY and Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana, with these programs, central government is making huge investment. I said the size of the investment will be 1.5 lakh crore. That has already been done, and the program sunset is expected to be March 21. So both the program will co-terminate, obviously, or if there is any other extension considered, that will be, but there is little possibility of any further extension. Yes, I think most of you are aware, central government is, when there's a news item which I saw, the central government is thinking about fresh investment into distribution sector, more investment, and the entire thing is supposed to be reform linked, for reasons like some of the discoms are not in best of their health. So reform is extremely important. Central government is trying to pump in around 3 lakh crore. I mean, the article I saw, 3 trillion rupees. So that also will be pumped into distribution sector, and obviously I suppose there will be a focus in the coastal areas. That's very, very important because distribution is a very important area. After any disaster, restoration is extremely important. With this, if you allow me, I will close my talk here. We can discuss more things. You have any other issues, any other points, you can put it in the chat box. I can revert back individually on that. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thanks for your patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Chandanji, you are on mute actually. You need to.
Okay. So it is a very nice presentation, and you can see that some questions in your chat box, which you may take it up later, maybe as Rubab said that. You can see that whatever is possible. So that is why I put them in your personal chat box.
Right. I will certainly revert back to you because I'm running short of time. Actually, I have to go for a program.
So Mehta has already replied.
Refer back.
Yeah. Okay. Even not only that in this forum, but even later on also, we are all connected. Fiki is there and all are there. Yeah. So it is not that asking question and answering it. It is not like that. It is it is that we are all together for the country's cyclone resilience. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Dr. Ghosh, I think we can move on to the next speaker, should we?
Next speaker,
Dr. Vijay Kumar Madali.
Yeah.
Yes, from Syantra Private Limited. Very good afternoon, Dr. Madali, and thank you so much for joining us. Before I call you upon for your presentation, I will just briefly introduce Dr. Madali to the audience. He holds a first-class bachelor's degree in industrial engineering from India, a first-class master's degree in manufacturing and management from University of New South Wales, Sydney, Australia, and a PhD in environmental engineering from Griffith University, Brisbane. Brisbane has been in the news recently. That's where India conquered, and I'm sure you're doing the same, Dr. Madali, in Brisbane. He comes with a wealth of technical knowledge and research expertise. Over the past decade, he has been instrumental in the development of the technical know-how and assisted the company he works in securing several patents, some of which are nearing commercialization now. He has rich industrial design and development experience as well, and his work has been published in American Chemical Society's Environmental Science and Technology Journal, a globally acclaimed journal that is. His work has been cited in some of the world's most prestigious scientific journals such as Nature Energy, Nature Climate Change, International Journal of Greenhouse Gas Control. He's a patent holder and founder of Isyantra Combined Heat and Power Solutions Private Limited, a company registered in Chennai, India. So thank you so much, Dr. Madali, for joining us, and we are really looking forward to what you're going to speak. At least what I've heard from Dr. Ghosh, we are all very excited to know more about you. Thank you. Over to you.
You are on mute, Dr. Madali. You need to unmute yourself.
Am I audible now? Thank you. So thanks, Rubab, for introducing me. I would like to first begin my presentation by thanking FICCI, NDMA, and more specifically, Mr. Riturajji for articulating and highlighting the many issues that the industry faces pre, during, and post-cyclone events. While Riturajji and Subir Shahaji addressed issues related to fossil fuel-based power plants, my focus will be on resilient renewable technologies during calamities in particular and civilian applications in general as future of power generation, propelling India as an economic power leading to 2050 and achieving its climate action goals. I'll begin my presentation here. Let me share my screen with you. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, yes, we can. Yeah.
So let me begin with Atmanirbhar Bharat. Honorable Prime Minister of India is on a massive undertaking to promote self-resilience in India. And more specifically, one of those pillars is the system of the science, technology, and innovation, which is aimed at technology self-reliance and indigenization. This is where we come in as a technology partners. Having achieved the 165 gigawatts of renewable energy target, Prime Minister recently announced at the United Nations that he plans to target 450 gigawatts of renewable power. As part of one of these initiatives, there is an announcement by Niti Aayog by 2030, they're looking at 70% of all commercial vehicles, 30% of private cars, 40% of buses, and 80% of all two-wheelers to be electric. So this is a huge undertaking in terms of the power generation, transmission, and distribution side of things. So if we are to propel India to 2050, and the whole world is moving towards renewables, what we need to be looking at is an integrated solution where we are looking at various renewable energy options combined with energy storage. So this is essentially what is going to propel India into the future. The future is renewables. So Atmanirbhar in renewables is key to the economic development and the energy security of new and transformed India of tomorrow. So this is precisely what we're going to target achieving. But the current technologies, as we have seen in the past, and also as articulated by the previous speakers, there are many issues associated with the traditional power generation methods and also the distribution methods. This also extends to renewable energy technologies as we see them today. India is focusing a lot on floating solar these days. Considering the fact that there's a lot of water bodies available in India, that's a brilliant initiative, but we also need to consider that doesn't matter which place we are positioning infrastructure, they're all going to be affected by the cyclonic storm events or the weather events invariably. As you can see, floating solar power plants, storm-struck solar power plants, the dust cover, the snow cover where there is a snow event, hail damage. And if you look at wind turbines, they're oversped during cyclonic events, which leads to invariably the complete damage of the infrastructure. So this is something that we need to address if we are to propel ourselves with renewable energies going forward 2050 and addressing some of these climate change issues that we are facing in the present time. So this is one particular setup that came into our knowledge in the recent past, that the central government is trying to set up renewable power plants in Ladakh. And one of the biggest proposed solar power plant is at this location, as we can see here. The original location was at this point closer to an all-weather road, but the new location that we are looking at is close to a road which is 7 to 8 months of the year because of snow cover. And there is a proposed solar power plant that is going to be established right next to this road. It makes us wonder why it would be that case, because this location is also going to be covered in snow. So some of these issues needs to be addressed with existing technologies, not lifting that heavy load on them. So when disasters strike, it's going to strike our renewable infrastructure too. This is not resilient at the current given time. So with current renewable technologies, we are highly vulnerable, no matter where we live, where we are at the mercy of Mother Nature. Can we overcome this vulnerability and become a resilient nation? Bharat, that is energy independent, and Atmanirbhar Bharat. We have developed a couple of solutions based on interaction with various industry players, the defense, and so on and so forth. So I would be basically talking to you more about these technologies, which would address the many of the issues that have been highlighted by the two previous speakers. What we're looking at is intelligent and portable power generation systems, and that too renewable in nature. Once those are agile, that are readily available for rapid deployment, ease of use, built-in redundancies, and the ease of transportation. So essentially what we are looking at is energy independence delivered in a box. Our unique solutions and solar and wind power designs allow us for unparalleled flexibility while delivering powerful containerized renewable power plants at affordable costs. So first, let me talk to you about energy storage. The reason why we need to talk about energy storage is no matter what the power generation, renewable power generation technologies we are dealing with, unless we provide a means of energy storage, the puzzle is not complete. So we need to look at energy storage as an integrated solution going forward as with renewables as base load power generation technologies. So the technology we are dealing with is high density energy storage. And this is a patented technology. It's in my, the patent is on my name. I'm the inventor of this technology. So how this technically works, because this being a technical presentation, I thought like I'll just give a brief introduction on the technology front. So I won't be talking much on this. I'll play you a small video clip, which is about a minute. That will basically highlight what this technology does, and we'll move on to the other two technologies. Essentially, what this technology does is it takes input from any fossil fuel or renewable energy-based power solutions or generation systems and feeds it to a heating element or a coil that is placed inside the device. So this heating element heats a phase change material which is also present in the device, which stores this energy. So as and when there is a need for energy to be retrieved and then converted back to electrical output, it is done via a gas loop which is present close to the system. This gas extracts the energy out of the phase change material and transfers it to a thermal load. In this particular case, the thermal load could be a heat engine, absorption chiller, marine freshwater generator, or a heat exchanger, depending on which application we would like to see. The outcome could be a power which is clean, refrigeration and the spatial cooling. It could be freshwater for drinking or for heating for spatial applications. So let me play this video clip. It's just going to be a minute, and I'll proceed to the rest of the presentation.
Energy from any renewable source is fed into SR2's combined heat and power device. It is in the device that the energy is first stored in the form of heat and then retrieved and converted back into heat and electricity. In the energy storage process, the electrical energy that is fed into the device is converted to heat via electromagnetic field-induced charge onto a susceptible crucible holding a phase change material. The heat is transferred to the phase change material via conduction. As more heat is transferred to the phase change material, the material undergoes phase change. In doing so, a significant amount of energy is stored in the phase change material as latent heat. Energy are stored. Subsequently, in the energy retrieval and conversion process, the stored energy in the phase change material is transferred via the crucible walls to the energy carrier gas. The physics henceforth dictates the movement of the hot gas from a position that is near the crucible wall to the head of the heat engine. It is here that the heat is transferred to the head of the heat engine, which converts the thermal energy in the gas into heat and ultimately into an electrical output in a very efficient manner. This is a closed-loop process, meaning any unused heat in the gas is recycled as the cycle repeats all over again. It is important to note that the two processes, the energy storage process and the energy retrieval and conversion process, are independent of each other, and hence high-quality power is guaranteed.
So that basically explains or gives you a gist of how the technology works in terms of energy storage and retrieval and all that. So now that we know that there is a technology to store utility scale power in an energy storage device, we'll look at some of these applications that I have mentioned. So if you look at this particular picture, renewable energy is fed into the energy storage device, and depending on what device we are connecting to this particular energy storage device, the output could be clean power, spatial process heat, and heat, cooling or refrigeration, or fresh water. So it will be hard to imagine that there's a place that would not require at least one or all of them. So this is a technology which will fill in a lot of gaps in terms of what we are trying to address as a community. we did make a presentation to the Ministry of Defense last year on this technology. And this is the recommendation made by the chairman of that particular session. So he lauded the work of the company and recommended that the defense may move this project forward. And if what is being claimed worked out, it will be a game changer as far as the energy storage requirement is concerned. So this particular event was also covered in South Asia Defense Strategic Review. So now that assuming that we have this particular technology in place to store renewable energy or any energy for that matter, we now need to look at the resilience of energy and how we're going to produce such energy and transmit it to the community. So we'll first look at solar technology that we have developed based on our interactions with the defense. So when we made our presentation to the defense, while their recommendation was to take up the technology and test it out, they also had another problem, which is like even though they had solar power plant sitting in Ladakh, effectively it was not producing much power required purely because it was being covered by snow all the time. And their only method of addressing this issue is to transport diesel from the ground to the top of the mountains, which is costing them quite heavily, and they're reliant on supplies coming from the base of the hill. So they asked us if we could look at developing technical solutions to power generation. So when we looked at the options that we may have, especially considering the high altitude, we came up with both solar and wind as solutions, portable solar and wind solutions, which could be airlifted or transported on trucks as a complete power plant, which could be installed on site as a plug and play device. So this particular setup will allow us to position these power plants anywhere as required. It could be on top of the mountain or it could be in the desert. So what you're looking on the screen right now is a 150 kilowatt solar power plant built into a 20-foot shipping container. So essentially what happens is this particular device, as it is positioned in the location, a push button will allow the device to open up, and the panels would extend either sides to about 120 meters in length, and support systems would be placed underneath. I'll show you a picture of how it will look once it's all set up. So that effectively will start generating 150 kilowatts of power, and this whole setup would probably take less than an hour to do that. And you could integrate many such devices to produce as much power as we want. And each of these devices is a smart device, which means it is going to read data from both local and the general meteorology information. And a computer on site would then tell the systems as to when it needs to shut down, especially in the context of the cyclonic events and storm events that we are talking about today. If there is a cyclonic event that is going to pass, then these systems need to be taken care of. So the computer signals the systems to shut down. So immediately what happens is all these panels will fold into the device, and the device shuts down to the position as how you are seeing on the screen now. So it is completely protected. So I'll go to wind. What you're seeing on your screen is a 250 kilowatts wind turbine. The biggest portable wind turbine that you will find in the market today is a 50 kilowatts one from US, from a company called Upright. So those wind turbines
Dr.
that we are...
Dr. Madani, sorry to interrupt. Can you go full screen, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah. So where was I? Yeah. So the biggest wind turbine, portable one, anywhere in the world today is a 50 kilowatts wind turbine that is coming out of United States from a company called Upright. There is a restriction on how big the wind turbines can go in the present form, purely because these wind turbine blades need to be assembled on site, and that is going to take a lot of time and effort. And so is the restriction on how big a portable wind turbine can go. But what we have done is we have come up with a patent pending technology which sits at the head of this wind turbine, which allows us to fold these blades into the container itself. And all this is factory fitted. So as and when the system arrives, it's again a plug and play. You push the button and the whole system self-erects itself without the need for any human intervention. So that allows us to basically put the system or deploy the system anywhere, even in the a tropical belt where the coast or the infrastructure is battered by cyclonic storms. Because as I mentioned earlier, like the solar, this is also a smart device which can read information, and it will decide as to when it needs to shut down, and it will go into the container itself, and the whole container is sealed off. So as and when the cyclonic event passes, the turbine, the systems will detect that based on the weather conditions that it can self-erect, and it will self-erect itself in a matter of couple of minutes. So thereby generating the much needed power to the local communities as soon as the storm passes out. So there is no need to worry about the collapse of infrastructure, or there is no need to worry about transporting fuel to the location, or any such things. Any mobile hospitals or mobile telecom towers could be charged up with these units when they are readily available on site. So I'll play you a small video clip on this. I'll let you watch this for a second as to how this will open up. What you're seeing is a 250 kilowatts one. And this is not an animation of any description. This is an engineering simulation that we have done based on all the parts that are already fitted into the CAD model. So it basically opens up with 3 stands to support it. And as you can see, the blades are already pre-fitted onto the turbine. And as it comes to the site, it just opens up. And the telescopic tower then pulls the turbine out to the required height. And that will then open the blades. And the beauty of this is, even after the blades are fully open, they're all in the same plane, like how it is on a standard wind turbine. So we have taken care of wind velocities up to 60, 70 k's at the moment, and we have also taken care of the wind loading on the turbine as such. So simulations have been performed to minimize the risk on the development process. So as I mentioned earlier, that we have now looked at 3 different technologies. One is the wind turbine, which you just saw now. The other one is the solar. So the other one is the solar, which I mentioned before. And this is the energy storage devices as positioned next to the refrigeration and water generation facilities. So if we are to integrate all these things like how it is shown here, we are in a position to generate 75 kilowatts uninterrupted, clean baseload power to any remote communities or anywhere as we require. So effectively what we are talking about is energy independence in this particular case. What we have done with these 3 technologies now, or what allows us to happen is, we are in a position to generate baseload power from renewables, which is previously not possible unless we use utility scale energy storage. So with the energy storage that we have developed, it's possible. And because we are dealing with clean technologies, renewable technologies, there is no CO2 emissions, and these technologies are all 100% emissions free. As I mentioned earlier, you can ideally place this anywhere you would like to, and because India is blessed with plenty of sunlight and wind, total energy independence for India is now possible. Utility scale energy storage, I have already mentioned, because this technology is a high density energy storage technology, the utility scale energy storage is now possible. And we have addressed many of the shortcomings of lithium battery with the technologies that we have developed. So the very specific, sorry, is there any question?
Okay, you can conclude now.
So what we are trying to do is, we have addressed many of the humanitarian and disaster relief efforts. If these technologies are combined together, what we are seeing is Kavaratti here and many other disaster events. And the technologies could also be applied to defense, smart cities, and mini microgrids. Islands were required. So we are being actively promoted by Agni in India. And we believe with these technologies, we will be in a position to achieve the goals and aims of the government of India. So I would like to conclude my presentation at this stage.
Wow, nice presentation, Dr. Vijay.
Thank you.
And I have put some question into your personal chat box, which if time permits, we will take it on.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll be more than glad to help you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Ruba, next.
Yes, sir. We have the next presentation by Shri Sunil Agarwal, who's the Executive Director, Asset Management, Power Grid Corporation of India Limited. We have Shri Sunil ji.
Yes, our Executive Director, Sunil Agarwal. Sunil Agarwal sahab is here. He's
wonderful. Namaskar, Sunil ji. Thank you so much
Namaskar,
for joining, and thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate Power Grid's support in putting this eConclave on cyclone resilience together. In fact, we did mention to the Honorable Minister also yesterday how the power sector has, like Adani and Power Grid, has come forward to talk about this very subject of cyclone resilience. In fact, the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, the organization CDRI, which is the brainchild of our Honorable Prime Minister, they want to take up resilience in the power sector very seriously. And in fact, we will reach out to you and others on this panel, and Chandan Ghosh Saab as well, how we can initiate a dialogue with CDRI to talk more about resilience in the power sector, because that is one of the most affected sectors when it comes to cyclone. So on that note, I would now request Sunil Agarwal ji to please go ahead with his presentation. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. First off, thanks a lot to Vicky for organizing this seminar. This is a very apt topic. Vicky, the earlier speakers, Shaji and even Dr. Vijay has touched the generation area. And but more now focusing, Power Grid will take you more focus towards the transmission, because again the generation is a localized thing where we can do something, but our transmission lines crisscross the country, and if we also can predict where the problem will come. Sometime the high winds in a particular areas cause the power failures and all that thing, and this causes in all the earlier cyclones also what you see funny hudud and all the cyclones. Lot of disruption in the power supply is basically due to the failure of the distribution network or the transmission network, and it is more towards the distribution network. And as a government of India is also focused on that basically, and they were also already constituted a committee. Ministry of Power has already constituted a committee for this cyclone resilient robust structure for transmission distribution infrastructure for coastal areas. Basically, and Power Grid is a part of the committee, and that committee has finalized this report, and I think it will come out very shortly, which has covered many of the risk and mitigation issues on that. But now I will take you towards the Power Grid. So there are 2 slides about the Power Grid, and then we will come to the disaster management and risk mitigation done by Power Grid. Okay, next slide. Yeah. So as you all know, but I'm just refreshing everybody, it is Power Grid is a Maharatna company. It is a central government PSU, and presently the Central Transmission Utility of India, but which carries out the interstate transmission planning and all that part. And as per the World Bank, Power Grid is the 3rd largest transmission utility in the world. And among the CPSUs, it is the 3rd largest gross block. And turnover is also very high. And we are having a rank in the Forbes 2000 list also. And we are the fastest growing electricity utility in the Asia Pacific. So our company was formed in 92-93. It was a scheduled pay company, wholly owned by Government of India, and now it is a Maharatna company. We are around having 12 joint ventures and 20 subsidiaries. And but during the period, our equity has been divested, and now government holding is only 51.34%. Our shares are listed on BSE, NSE also, and financial bonds in the Singapore Stock Exchange. And you can see from 92-93 to now, we have diverted from the transmission to now we are CTU also, intrastate transmission also. we are doing consultancy domestic also and international also. We have got a presence in around 20 countries. And now we have got our own one department called telecom, which is providing the telecom connectivity to the far-flung areas. In our all transmission lines, we are laying the optical fiber along with the lines. But our earth wires are embedded with the optical fibers. So we have got around 75,000 kilometers of optical fiber network across the country. And all telecom providers are using our network for this purpose. So basically, along with the transmission, we are forming the telecom backbone also. That is the thing. And now with the all Dr. Vijay was telling, so we are also now in the smart grid, and we are doing this distribution job also. We are involved with the ministry's flagship projects like IPDS and all that things, and Deen Dayal Upadhyay Yojana and all that things we are doing. And now with a lot of focus on renewables, a lot of renewable generation coming up in all Gujarat, Rajasthan, all the areas. And now what Dr. Vijay was telling in Leh Ladakh and all that things. So they are telling around 10,000 megawatt solar will come in Leh Ladakh. But again, transmitting that power to the plains is a big challenge for all of us. And we are doing the feasibility studies and all that for that. So for this renewable integration, it is a big onus on us. And again, earlier we were doing the grid management part also, but now it is a separate company now, POSECO. And our vision is this world-class integrated global transmission company with dominant leadership, safety and economy. So these are the, so our main transmission is the main business. So we are establishing interstate transmission lines. So all the central sector power, around total power generation, around 45 to 50% power generated in the country is evacuated through our lines. And now we are having the cross-border links. So we are having connectivity with the, at the same frequency, we are working with Bhutan and Nepal. And we are done something. We are exploring things in Sri Lanka also. And for telecom, what I earlier told, we have got pan-India network, and consultancy we are providing domestic and international also, and we are out the GOI schemes in the Northeast and Sikkim and all that things. So this is our size of our asset base. So we are having around more than 1,200 lines. And our lines are up to 800 kV lines we are having. Now the 800 kV HVDC first line, which can carry 1,000 megawatt power, means the one line can carry the total load of Delhi. That network we are creating. So we are having a network size of around 160,000 kilometers. And we are spread across the country with 252 stations. And this is more than 4 lakh is the transformation capacity. Yeah. So now we'll come, we'll see what will happen to because of disasters on transmission systems. So again, disaster is of two types. It is a natural calamity or the man-made. So natural is the earthquake, flood, cloudburst, tsunami, avalanche, cyclone and cyclonic storms, hurricanes, and man-made terrorist, bomb threats, strike, fire, including forest fire, cyber attack. Actually, we are just divided into two because of natural and this disaster in natural and man-made. Because now, as a Ministry of Power has come out with a disaster management plan with disaster and the crisis management plan. That's separate plans we are having for mitigating these things. Yeah, next. So you can see because of this extreme high wind conditions like high-speed cyclonic storm, transmission line tower collapse due to load exceeding the design values. And again, basically the wind speeds, this transmission line life is around 35 years. And during after the construction also, the wind zones are changing. And that will also affect on the transmission towers. Though based on the studies with the CA and worldwide, we are carrying out the strengthening and all that part. But sometimes the localized storms causes these tower failures. And you can see the second photo, that is of the basically the distribution area. There the failures are much more. Yeah. And some, because of this climatic change, the river course is also changing. So during construction, we take utmost care if the line is passing through the river and all that things, we construct the pile foundation or the well foundation for the same. But because of the so frequent change of river course and rapid change, basically, especially in the eastern part of Ganga and Brahmaputra and all that things, Kosi rivers in the eastern part and northeastern part, lot of towers are becoming vulnerable and sometimes getting collapsed also. So that is the thing, and again, all these interruptions, tower failures cause disruption in the power supply. Yeah, and this is basically due to the landslides. Again, the tower can collapse, and this is what we are facing in the again northeast and the northern Himachal and J&K area. These problems we are regularly facing, and again, this is the problem because of the people doing the burning for fire or the burning crops like parali burning in Punjab and all that things. So this is also calling because this heavy smoke get deposited on the insulators, and that creates a conducive path. So basically, line trips on that account also. Yeah. And because what I say earlier, because our lines are passing across the country, and though we are carrying out extensive patrolling with the latest technologies and app and all that things, mobile app and all that things, but despite all that things, we are facing this problem ki terrorists or the bad elements go for the theft of to carry out the theft or sometimes for sabotage also. They cut the tower members or something like that. Sometimes people try to, the first photo you see, people have tried to stole the tower members. You can see at the bottom, they have taken out the members and are taken up. And because of that also, recently only one of our tower collapsed. And this is the second thing, people are using these things. So again, we need Dr. Vijay's center support on this thing. See if they can develop some technology for that also, some sensors or something like that, through which we can detect all this thing sitting in our some offices, some vibrations sensing and all that things, which if it's possible. And now the latest in this October, what this Mumbai blackout. After in that also the question has come ki it was because of the redundancy, because of the no redundancy in the grid has collapsed, or because of the cyber attack. So this is the new challenge of cyber attack, because all SCADA system and all these things is depending on that. So the cyber attack is a new challenge for us, new disaster challenge for us. Yeah. So see, so that's I'm telling for the resilience building. We have got a disaster management plan. Next slide. We have got a disaster management plan, and which has been approved by the ministry also. And on this, our disaster management plan is being discussed through the Ministry of Homes also. And so we have got a disaster management plan in which various hierarchies and all that things are there, and there is a SOP also in that. How we manage, try to manage our system healthy at all the times. So SOP for this is advanced preparedness, early warning preparedness, response and restoration, and then the mitigation, prevention, scope of improvement. This is the thing. Advanced preparedness, the what we are carrying out the regular patrolling of transmission lines, liquidation of defects. But then we have got this emergency restoration systems at strategic locations, so that if a normal tower collapse, to restore that tower, we need around it is more than 40-50 tons with the foundation and all that things. So it takes a lot of time. So we have got this ERS system, which we have made placed at specific locations, which can be, these are all tubular structures which can be erected very fast, and power supply can be restored in a 4 or 5 days time. And then besides we kept adequate spares at the locations to take care. Yeah. And we are monitoring on the daily basis through the IMD website or the Windy website. We on the daily basis, basically, we again follow up the any cyclone coming or trying to hit India and all that things. So we are regularly following. So whenever some challenge comes, we start immediately on the action mode. And we have got a big control set up at Manesar at the national level. So, and at the various levels, although we start setting for this, especially disaster preparedness, with 24/7 control room is made functional. And then healthy communication is utmost important. And basically, again, through GIS mapping and all that things, we are tracing the cyclone path. We try to identify our assets which are likely to be getting affected, and again we carry out some special patrolling for that, and we gear up ourselves with the spare towers and ERS and all that thing, and all TNPs, cranes, etc., so that we can reach fast and start restoring fast. So, and after so basically first thing comes our teams immediately mobilize, do the damage assessment with the coordination with the local authorities, and all these things, transportation of spares, so that we can start restoring the line. And after each disaster, basically we take up each disaster case studies and analyze ourselves, how fast was our response, how good was our response, and whatever more betterment can be done for the preparedness for the future. So we try to make a project report sort of thing for each disaster what we encountered. Yeah. So now I can just show you the use of advanced technology. See, we just now mapped all the towers on the GIS platform for monitoring of a transmission line. So, and it is helping us in the disaster preparedness also and change of river course also. Yeah. Next. And this all we have used our GIS portal for all cyclones, Amphan, Nisarg, Nevar, all the cyclones what we are doing. We are just using this technology and so that we can gearing up ourselves and we are mobilizing our resources very near to the areas going to be getting affected. That is the basically purpose of that. Yeah. Next. This is basically for the, you can see this is the yellow line and the green belt. This is the basically IMD picture. Basically showing the blanket for the cyclone and where going to strike. And you can see we have plotted our transmission network on that. So see, you can see on the yellow part all that GRUT and all that things. This is the basically photos for the Amphan cyclone, which has happened in May this year only, May last year only. So you can see we were through this path following, we are knowing the cyclone is going to hit our Rajarhat and Subhashgram substation in West Bengal. So we are prepared for that. Yeah. So you see we are well following the lines, and so that we can do the impact zone for the cyclone. This is for the funny cyclone, yeah. And similarly, you can see with the continuous monitoring, you can see how the river course is changing. You can see the one particular location in 2017, it was around 111 kilometers, though in 2011 it was around 238 kilometers up, away from the bank. Yeah. And this is the picture of the ERS side by side of the tower colors. We have how we have restored the line fast through this ERS tower that is being shown. Yeah. And this is again for satellite imagery, how we use to locate our damage and all that things. And this we are using now also. And now we are using even for helicopter and the drone survey for the damage assessment also. Next. Yeah. So this is the case study for this funny cyclone. You can see that is the IMD path for the funny cyclone. Yeah. Next. Yeah. So this was the areas which were going to be getting affected. That's the main. Yeah. So we have set up 5 control rooms, one at Snell level, and we were thinking to it will fall in West Bengal. So one control room in West Bengal, and getting prepared ourselves for Orissa also and Andhra also. So we have set up all the control rooms, and following the path, our strategy was also getting changes, but it was again dynamic strategies we have to make for that. Yeah. So this is all key how we just with the cyclone warning, we have to arrange all the mobilization for all cranes, trucks, laborers, etc. We do all things so that there is no delay in restoring the setup. Yeah. This is all that is the yeah. You can see that just one of this during the funny cyclone in May 19, Orissa. One of our tower has just collapsed like that. Yeah. And it was restoration going on through the ERF shown. Yeah. And again, it is not power. It is not only doing restoring its own line, but we are providing full support to the state team also. Because what I told earlier also, because the much more damage is in the distribution sector as compared to the transmission. So the distribution sector much more. So this is again in the cyclone. We were provided a lot of support to the Orissa transmission team and Orissa state government team. We have provided around, we have given them on loan our ERS tower also, and we have pooled around 1100 manpowers also, and along with the other material also, we have given to them for restoring the state network. Yeah. Yeah. So this is all what support we have given to the OPTCL team during the funny cyclone. Yeah. Yeah. So it is just a picture showing the support provided by us. Yeah. Yeah. This is the key learning. So all these things, what I've told you after the each cyclone, we analyze our actions and prepared ourselves for the future. So this is the brief presentation from. I'm again thanks to you all for patient listening, and we are free to answer many questions from your side. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal, for a very categorical presentation of what Power Grid does and how you take care of the damages and how you survey out, and especially during cyclone or even after also damage assessment and everything. So thank you for that to Power Grid. We have some questions that put forward to your chat box, which you may respond later. Right now, we don't have much time, but we'll take it up later through Fiki.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Ruber, next.
Yes, I think, sir, now that we conclude this session, we have the speakers for the session. We have also Dr. Datta, who's chairing the next session. Be very kind to join us. If you could make some concluding remarks, sir, and then we'll shift to the next session immediately.
Just it is, I have already interacted with everyone, and all the 4 presentations in this morning came up with 4 different aspects.
Yeah.
Especially from Dr. Rituraj Mehta, that takes care of many things: power production, distribution, maintenance, road, infrastructure. And so in that way, what actions that they have been taking, and it is nicely presented, Dr. Mehta, for being with us, and also you are you are with Fiki in the disaster management initiative. So your role, and especially highlighted by even Power Finance Corporation, Mr. Saha, that taking that cue from you, that the highlights of your presentations, and as well as giving the Power Finance Corporation. So it is a wonderful teamwork, especially 3 presentations that I have seen, both all the 3 from Power Finance Corporation, and then Dr. Rituraj Mehta and Power Grid, giving a very impactful presentations that what they do and how they handle especially the cyclone, and what kind of survey they do, what are the damage assessment, what are the mock drill that you have been doing. And so that way, in fact, it has given a really good impact to this session. And thankful to you on behalf of FICCI and NIDM. And the third presentation by Dr. Vijay Madali, which is on power generation and storage and movement and sub-automatic devices, weather-sensitive things that which has come of the day in the IoT, big data, and all these things. I think Dr. Vijay has taken up a very radical route in solving many of the problems that we are still thinking in a conventional way. So it will redefine our way of looking into the power finance as well as storage, that which is very essential, which he has highlighted in this. So thankful to Vijay also for gracing this occasion with lots of feedback. So with this, I end from my side and give the baton to Rubab for taking it further.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chandan Ghosh, for chairing this session and ensuring that it not only sticks to time, but it's a very smooth, intertwiddling what you've done in between the 4 presentations which were made. I think there was a strong connection. I think that the tone which was set by the first presentation, followed by PFC, Power Grid, and all the 4 presentations for that matter. I think even from Dr. Madali, I think he shared the technology aspect of how to be more resilient in dealing with in cyclones, the wind mill, and all those concepts. I think very well received by the audience as well, and we are getting very positive feedback in our chat box. In fact, I'll encourage this is again a message for all the participants who are almost 400 in number, who've joined us at the bike platform of FICCI, and who are watching this live. There is a question and answer icon right at the bottom right of the screen. You can press on that button and you can write the question, and it can be addressed to the specific speaker also. So I encourage the participants to please do that. Quickly now, moving on, I think we're running slightly, not much, but slightly late, but I would like to request the chair of the next session, Dr. Devapriya Datta-ji, to please who's with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Datta, for joining us. A very good afternoon to you and to all the 4 speakers who would be adding their insights and thoughts to this technical session 4, which is a role of geospatial technologies in cyclone resilience and early warning, and of course with recommendations. We have speakers in form of Shri Sushil Gupta ji, who's the AVP Risk Modeling and Insurance RMSI, one of the supporters of this initiative. A very warm welcome to you. Miss S. Sunita Devi, a very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Scientist F, National Weather Forecasting Center, NWFC, of the Indian Meteorological Department, IFD, Ministry of Earth Sciences. Then we have from ESRI India Technologies, one of the partners, the GIS partners of this eConclave, Madam Seema Joshi, who's the General Manager and Head, Strategic Pre-Sales Technology and Solutions at ESRI India. A very warm welcome to all the esteemed panelists and, of course, our Chair, Shri Devapriya Datta-ji. Before I hand over to Dr. Datta, I would like to share with the audience that we have a co-chair also in this session, Dr. Ashok Kumar, who is the scientist at Department of Science and Technology, will be co-chairing this session and supporting Shri Dr. Datta. Ladies and gentlemen, a brief profile introduction of Dr. Datta I would like to share with you. In fact, I officially hand it over to him. Dr. Datta is the head and scientist G an advisor in Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. He heads the National Geospatial Program, the State Science and Technology Program, the SEED, the Science for Equity, Empowerment and Development SEED initiative also is being headed by Dr. Datta in DST. Dr. Datta, he's completed his PhD from the IARI New Delhi and joined the National Agriculture Research Service of the ICAR, which is the Indian Council of Agriculture Research. He served as scientist in the Central Soil and Water Conservation Research and Training Institute, Dehradun, and was appointed as the Counselor for Science and Technology in the Embassy of India, Washington, D.C. during 2008 to 2012. Dr. Datta was deputed to the Blackland Soil and Water Research Institute, University of Texas, US, as UNDP visiting scientist during 1998. And he completed his postdoctoral fellowship in geoinformation management from the International Institute for Geoinformation Science and Earth Observation, ITC, in the Netherlands in 2003-2004. His areas of expertise and research interests are application of geoinformatics for natural resource management, watershed management, geoinformation management, and capacity building. And capacity building. On that note, I would now like to hand over to Dr. Datta to please share his opening remarks and chair the session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sood. And again, I thank the NIDM and FICCI for organizing this, the important the event of the eConclave on this, resilience against the cyclone. And as I commented yesterday, this organizing of this eConclave shows itself our, the cumulative resilience in a challenging situations of the COVID challenges. That this is the digital platform has become a new normal of the exchange of the knowledge. And I think in this eConclave, if we have noticed, the minutely, this is an I think the way the country's knowledge and the action is getting oriented, it is an indicator of that, where the three partners of the governance, that is the government, the private sector, and the civil societies are sitting together and chalking out that how the knowledge can be converted into the actions to create impact and improve the performance in the context of any aspects of the delivery system of government. In this context, our discussion context is the context of the disaster risk reduction. How we can convert this, the knowledge to the action and make it as in a continuum. So with this, the focus, today's the current sessions, like as already Rubab has told, that the focus, the technical session 4, is a focus on the geospatial technology in cyclone resilience and the early warning with the recommendations. This has become, the usage of the technology, and especially from the technology generating the informations has become, I will say, the soul of the disaster risk reduction initiatives. The disaster risk reduction, as you know, the Sendai framework has changed the whole orientations of the game from the disaster the management, which was more of an action oriented, to the disaster risk reduction, which is a knowledge plus action, like knowledge and action oriented. The Sendai framework has brought that the disaster risk reduction, it is incorporated into the 25 targets of the Sustainable Development Goals. In 10 of the 25 targets of 10 Sustainable Development goals, the major being in the Sustainable Development Goal 13. Now, these sessions, what you see here, that the resilience we are trying to bring it in terms of the strengthening the risk and the reducing the risk, and also the resilience in terms of reducing the risk, as well as that increasing the certainty. That means reducing the uncertainty also. So this risk to uncertainty, this the conversions pathway, how we can do. The one point I just want to bring it here, like yesterday in my opening remarks in the inaugural sessions I brought, all of this, the natural or the extreme climatic event has got, the impact of that has got compounded with the current situations with another, the COVID-19, the situations, which has brought another cascading layer, that where the impact of the, the natural extremes has got compounded by these biological, extremes here. So this is going to be the new situations, and we have to be ready for that. That how the informations or the, because all of us are through the this sessions, basically the geospatial technology for the early warning and reducing the risk are mainly generating that type of an informations which can give us a priori informations and reduce the risk. Then this helps us in building multiple and the complex risk scenarios, that can converge not only the extremes of the climatic extremes, but the other type of the extreme. That extremes can be health related, that can be socioeconomic situations. Can we link it up with the the socioeconomic extremes of the in a different scales, and that the technology, especially the geospatial technology, give us and empower us and give us a platform where we can integrate that, so that the scenario can capture the deep uncertainties of systemic risk, which has a cascaded impact. So this is a different type of a risk in today on the and the future we will be handling. That can help us in identifying the hotspots, like where the cyclone impact can impact with the the COVID impact, that this has happened during the current Amphan and the Nisarg situations. When Amphan came in May, that time and it came in the eastern part of the country, there are a lot of the COVID cases are there. Similarly, when Nisarg came in the west part, already Maharashtra was the hotspots of the the COVID. So the geospatial technology and the modeling, how they can help in handling this type of cascading and multi-dimensional risks, probably that is the future in which our research should look into. Also, we should look into that how this technology can use in early detection, rapid diagnostics, how we can develop that the algorithms which can detect the clusters which bring this type of multiple the disasters impact on the ground. Our capacity in terms of the strong remote sensing program in the country, the supercomputer, we have a supercomputer mission from the Department of Science and Technology, which is going to be operationalized soon, should be now used by bringing the changes underground, how it can help in the NDSF, how it can help in the SDMA, how it can be used in the DDMS. We can now, this is the systemic research what we must delve into, and that cannot be done by one department, one ministry, and or only government. It has to have the multi stakeholders, multi institutional, multi organizational, multi multi sectoral activity. So there must be this type of modeling or the generating informations cannot be on the one-time activity. There should be a constant data support to that, and there should be a constant updations of the early warning systems, so that the latest risk informations can be incorporated to the action plan of the our implementing agencies. And in order to do that, I think discuss on these issues in these today's these sessions, we have the three the experts as speakers. The first one, the speaker is from Dr. Ms. Sumita Devi, which from National NWFC, National Weather Forecasting Centers of IMD. Dr. Shishil Gupta is the RMSI. RMSI is an important player in the country's risk modeling in the insurance sectors, especially in the context of the the crop insurance. And Dr. Anil Jadhav, who is an ESRI head. I think Madam Seema Joshi is also is there from the ESRI. So we will listen to all of them, and I'm with me my colleague Dr. Ashok Singh. He will be co-chairing it. Since I have a parallel meeting going on here, I will request Ashok to take it from here, and definitely we will come out within some practical recommendations which will be systemic, which shows this knowledge, action, and impact, the continuum out of these sections, and so that this, the new way of interactions, new between these three, the stakeholders can bring a new way of work, working together and creating a real requirement. I shouldn't say the impact, because then impact becomes our driving force. Rather, it is required that what the people really need at the on the ground. Actually, yesterday when we were discussing there, we must integrate also here the existing knowledge of the real stakeholders there, because whether you and I are there, they have sustained many of these type of extremes by using their the local knowledge. So that also needs to be integrated into here, and I hope that with this the three speakers will enrich us and help us in generating generating knowledge in that idea in these directions, and also strengthening this entire this new knowledge, the action and the impact continuum. With that, thank you, and I hope that this will be very useful sessions with all the the three speakers being in the luminaries and experts in their own way. With that, I request Ms. Sunita Devi to take over, and Rubab, you have to do the time management, because that is an important component of any this type of interactions. Thank you.
Absolutely, Dr. Thank you so much for your very enriching thoughts and on this subject, and setting the tone and sharing, giving us a direction what we should be thinking about, and what we should be talking about, what should be expecting from technologies, especially the geospatial technologies, and how they can help reduce risk, mitigate risk, and help us get better prepared to deal with extreme weather situations or any extreme situations. Thank you so much, Dr. Datta.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, now we have the first speaker for this session, and thank you so much, Dr. Ashok Kumarji, for joining us and to chair, agreeing to co-chair this session with Dr. Datta. Thank you so much. We appreciate. I would briefly introduce the speakers, and then probably in between the presentations, if you have any comments, we would we would appreciate your inputs also, Dr. Ashok. I would just quickly share a brief introduction of Dr. Sunita Devi. She's Scientist F at the NWFC. She's working in the Weather Forecasting Development Division in the Office of Indian Meteorological Department, Pune. She completed her MSc in meteorology and then obtained an MTech in atmospheric sciences. She's in charge of Weather Section Pune and works for short and medium range weather forecasting. She's also involved in capacity building in weather forecasting. She's also a team member of WMO, Working Group on Weather Services, in operational forecasting process and support. In addition, she is the chairperson of Working Group of Meteorology, WMO SCAP panel on tropical cyclones. A well-known and renowned personality in the area of the weather management. On that note, I would now request Ms. Sunita Devi to take over for her presentation.
Thank you. And thank you for the introduction. Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm just starting because of short of time. So sharing my presentation. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you. So Thank you for the organizers for this. Actually, I was listening to the previous talks also, and it was just giving us more and more information. So this quite informative and productive workshop. And a very good afternoon to all listeners and participants. In the next 15 minutes or so, we'll be discussing about managing the cyclone associated hazards using geospatial technology and its current status and future prospects in the form of a few recommendations. So this is the outline in which we are proceeding. Initially, cyclone hazards and vulnerability, a little bit about that we'll be having a glimpse of. Then use of geospatial technology in monitoring and prediction, damage assessment and impact forecasting, post-disaster assessment, as well as warning, communication and dissemination. So in this, in a nutshell, you can see that in all aspects of cyclone management, the geospatial technology is very much well involved. And finally, concluding remarks. So this is the, whatever you are seeing now here is that the frequency of tropical cyclones all over the globe, the top panel shows. And we will see that it is the Indian Ocean cyclones host only very few, very meager number of tropical cyclones forming all over the globe. However, the impact based on this can be here, that frequency is shown for the period, in the satellite era period is shown. It is for 1970 to 2019, cyclone tracks are shown here. 2020 is yet to be included, but still you can see that this how many number of cyclones are making the landfall over the Indian coast because of the pattern of the orientation of the coast. This damage also might be becoming means it is very significant, quite significant. So that is the importance of the cyclone associated damage, and mainly the damage will be from basically from three factors like storm surge, then strong winds and rainfall. And so these three factors are causing damage to entire coastal population via various aspects as shown here. And a damage disaster risk reduction, DRR part of component will be depending on mainly on hazard analysis, vulnerability analysis, preparedness and planning, early warning and mitigation. Then this early warning in turn, it is a major component of disaster mitigation measures, as and it includes these aspects like skill in monitoring and prediction, how skillful you are in predicting in providing sufficient enough early warning for the impending cyclone. Then effective warning products generation, that actually products generated by the disaster management agency, it should be easily understandable by the users. Mainly the users are the disaster managers located at various districts of various coastal districts. And then a better, very effective coordination between emergency response units, that also will be ensuring the mitigation measures, and a public perception in general about the credibility of the official predictions and warnings. So these all aspects and their education, the users as well as the general public's education about the impending disaster. All these factors, the geospatial technology plays a major role. So here hazard analysis, one hazard analysis map, for example, I'm showing here. In order to build an effective response mechanism, we need to assess our vulnerability of such events. And here in this, geospatial technology can play a major role in post-landfall impact assessment, which will serve as a base factor for our later expectations of later what we are to estimate the damage associated with the landfalling cyclone. So that technology more and more we can utilize in that aspect. What we are seeing here, how we are utilizing, because cyclones form over, they take its shape not over the land area where we have sufficient observations. It forms over the oceanic region where our data reception observational platforms are quite less. So there we have only some certain data buoys deployed by various departments, and then we have certain ships are giving us observation. So in situ observation as such over the oceanic area, it is very few. So we are fully dependent on for identifying for the formation, looking at the to recognize the formation of a cyclone in its genesis stage itself. Then only we will be able to forecast the same. So for that purpose, we are fully dependent on the satellite observations, satellite-based observations, and these are the things which we are seeing here. How the various stages is picked up by a satellite imagery. This I don't think much need to go deeper into it. But the satellite imagery, how it is the cloud system getting gradually organized, and based on that, how we are defining the intensity. That is what we are seeing here. So these are the basic observational system which forms the basis for our forecasting. We have some synoptic observational data based on conventional observations, aircraft observation, radar imagery, this scatterometer imagery based on satellite, again based on satellite. Then, then basically, finally, the larger coverage is provided by the satellite-based observations, and in that microwave sensors are also there. So these are shown here. Some scatterometer observations are shown at the rightmost corner. So how the satellites are helping, once again, I'm going into detail. Based on satellite imagery, we have a certain type of pattern identification technique. So using this, we are defining the intensity like this, whatever is given in this table. And at the same time, when the cyclone is approaching the coast, Indian coast, we have deployed Doppler weather radars all along the east and west coast of India. This will be providing us more information on the structure and intensity of the cyclonic storm within a range of about 400 kilometers. That is, the range is limited for radar observations. And apart from satellite imageries, in the form of imageries that also contains data, but we do get satellite observations for deriving winds as well as humidity profiles. This will be giving as input to our numerical models. So the numerical models will be run with these initial conditions and provide a better forecast. So these are the ways in which satellite are helping in the cyclone forecasting. So this is the early warning system as such. Whatever observations available, enter observation setup, provide observations, and this will be fed as initial conditions to the numerical models. Numerical models, just only one, there will be a suite of numerical models running. So all these model output will be analyzed. Some of the model output examples are shown here in the first two figures below. And it will be analyzed by the forecaster, and the end forecast will be prepared by the forecaster, because numerical models as such output we cannot take any time. In the tropics, there are various difficulties in the final forecast output given by the numerical model. Based on the first initial condition, there will be some certain problems, some uncertainties will be there, and also the numerical model, whatever numerical equations utilized by these dynamical models are all non-linear in nature. In solving and arriving at the solution itself, there will be a lot of approximations being made. So all these things will be making the numerical model, direct numerical model output unfit for providing to the users. So finally, the forecaster will be making, based on various statistical analysis and also his own knowledge, applying his own knowledge, the end forecast will be prepared. And this end forecast in this form, like we will be preparing the cyclone track, with a cone of uncertainty. This will be having the certain uncertainty. Here and there it can deviate, but this cone of uncertainty is prepared based on our past forecast errors. So this much it can deviate. This uncertainty part will help the decision makers at the user end to make his decision, which area to be evacuated, which area are to be warned for the public attention. So all these things will be done here, and this forecast, end forecast, will be given to the decision maker for action. And this is some example how we are making use of the technology, geospatial technology again, even for the assessing the rainfall associated with the, so this whatever you are seeing, it is associated with the funny cyclone, satellite and rain gauge merged rainfall figure. Over the sea area, we don't have any rain gauge other than some ship observations reporting rainfall. So this will be helping us, and when it is over the coast, we'll be making use of this sort of technology. Even for analyzing the rainfall product in order to issue the flood warning, and when there is a storm surge adding to the flood situation, it will be aggravating the situation. So this sort of analysis, making this platform, it is helping us in providing the required output to the users. And at the same time, we are also making use of, for our decision making and for forecasting, a decision support system, which is making use of the GIS technology. So that decision support system, it is at present being utilized by IMD, which is called Synergy. So this will help us in visualizing all the observations together in one platform, onto which we'll be making various layers for analysis purpose. This is saving our time and also the manpower deployed for. So this actually forecast, we cannot delay our, extend our forecasting time period to beyond a certain extent. It is a time constrained activity. So within the time to produce the forecast, this type of technologies is helping us. And as a result of utilization of all this type of technology, our forecast has improved quite a bit. And so this, whatever we are seeing here, is the improvement in the past years, starting from 2003 to 2020. So this error has decreased, our skill has increased quite a lot in track forecasting especially. And along with the track forecasting, the landfall forecast also has improved very much. Landfall forecast landfall point, as well as time of landfall. And this happened mainly owing to the better understanding of physical processes involved in cyclone formation and movement, based on this sort of observations what we discussed so far. And these enhanced observations based on satellites and their integration into NWP models. This also has helped in new dynamic model guidance to improve quite a lot. And this has resulted in a drastic reduction of the death toll when compared to the 1999 Odisha super cyclone. Now, after that, is in the past 10-15 years or so, our death toll number has reduced, and it is in the 2-digit figure. So this is the whatever death toll associated with cyclones, various cyclones. And the last cyclone 2020 Burevi, which affected Tamil Nadu, the death toll had been only 7. So, but our Amphan cyclone, you can see it was a death toll also had been 98 in number. So this is but there had been a considerable reduction in the recent past. And while communicating also, we make use of the technology. So all these channels are there, along with the traditional channels for communicating our forecasts and warnings. We make use of mobile apps, including Mausam and Umang. in which now the majority of the warnings are going via this sort of platforms. And here our warning product generation also has changed a bit. Now at present we are providing our forecast, cyclone track forecast, as well as the structural forecast in a GIS platform. This is helping the users to enabling the users to visualize the forecast with more clarity and ease of understanding. This is one such whatever you are seeing here. It is the track of very severe cyclone Nivar, which crossed Tamil Nadu coast close to Puducherry in the month of November 2020. So this sort of thing is there. Here we are planning. This is what here we have several layers. We have lightning observations can be superimposed, radar reflectivity can be superimposed, then satellite clouding can be superimposed on this, and the observed track district boundaries also can be brought into. So this sort of product will be enable our users a very understanding way of cyclone forecast track. So a fail-proof and effective communication is also equally important for successful mitigation. And impact-based forecasting, now that is the latest addition to our forecasting. We were providing impact-based forecast. What could be the impact with the in association with the landfalling cyclone? We were adding to our bullet quite a long back since, but it had been a static thing, and now we are changing into the impact forecast into a dynamic one by adding these layers into the impact forecast. So this is the this one will be dealt with the next speaker also. Whatever recently a WebGIS based dynamic decision support system, WebDCRA, in short it is called as WebDCRA decision support system. This tool has been developed by NDMA under the National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project, and this will be helping in generating the likely impact scenario. Like this, you can see here, this is associated with the cyclone Burevi flood damage. These shadings are shown, like for Tamil Nadu, the flood damage, what is expected. So this would be helping generating the likely impact scenario by assessing the risk via evaluating the hazard, vulnerability, and exposure conditions. And it is also envisaged in aiding the conveying advisories through web as well as mobile app based services in local language. And overall, this will be enhancing our capability to respond to cyclones very much significantly, and it will be providing an efficient and quality database updating. If this is this tool to be efficient and effective, we need to update our quality database. So this we'll have to note it in the form of a recommendation sort of thing. So efficient and quality database updating is a very much essential part in this tool, which has been developed by NDMA. So towards concluding, I'll say that geospatial technology plays a dominant role in an end-to-end early warning services for cyclone disaster risk reduction. IMD under the Ministry of Earth Sciences has been continuously strengthening and upgrading our early warning system. It has helped the disaster management authorities to minimize loss of lives. For structural measures, IMD provides technical support in the form of data to Bureau of Indian Standards, EMTPC, and building codes. It is a routine activity of IMD. And moreover, our registered warnings list, it comprises of all major industries along the coastal belt. The warnings are regularly going to them. And still there is scope for application of latest technology, impact-based forecasting and risk-based warning to be enhanced further to minimize the loss of property, and improved product generation dissemination, taking the advantage of geospatial technology. And for this purpose, FICCI can play a major role in ensuring a regular updating of the digital database of all industries, major installations and structures which are included in the web DCRA DSS. This also we need to plan that more user-friendly and exhaustive app development. We have at present with us Mausam and Umang being with this cyclone forecasts are included in these two apps, and along with that the web DCRA tool also is providing another app. So GIS-based crowdsourcing of disaster situation, which is already included in the web DCRA application, it could be extended to Umang and Mausam app as well. And geospatial technology should also be utilized in training, simulation exercises, and mock drills for the vulnerable areas along the coastline. Three-dimensional cyclone hazard vulnerability atlases may be generated using GIS technology for disaster managers to visualize. Better disaster risk reduction and management can be achieved through the deployment of geospatial techniques for all the phases of cyclone management, including early warning, mitigation, preparedness, and resilience, response, as well as relief. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Very nice presentations, and you have very well highlighted the advances in the warning disseminations as well as production of the user-friendly geospatial software and decision support system. Thank you so much. And of course, you are from our Department of Science and Technology, and CMRWF was a part, like IMD and Ministry of Earth Sciences as well.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Now we will invite the next speaker, Sushil Gupta from RMSI.
Thank you, Dr. Ashok, for inviting the next speaker, and thank you, Sunita ji, for a very detailed and thoughtful presentation. I would just give a brief introduction, Dr. Ashok, of Dr. Sushil Gupta, who's the AVP Risk Modeling and Insurance, RMSI. RMSI, as I mentioned earlier, is supporting this initiative, this eConclave on cyclone, fostering cyclone resilience in industries and infrastructure. And RMSI has been supporting such initiatives earlier also. So we appreciate their patronage. Dr. Gupta has over 28 years of professional experience in the field, catastrophic risk modeling, engineering, seismology, and earthquake engineering, disaster risk assessment, risk management, insurance, reinsurance industry, analytics of exposure at risk, business development, project management, client management, and projects profit and loss management. His areas of expertise include disaster risk assessment for both natural and man-made hazards, historical and instrumental seismicity, including seismogram interpretation, earthquake catalogs, seismic monitoring and data analysis, strong motion seismic instrumentation, and a lot more. Dr. Gupta, he has been involved in several probabilistic multi-hazard vulnerability initiatives as well. On that note, I would now request Dr. Gupta, Dr. Sushil Gupta, to please take over for his very interesting presentation. Over to you, Dr. Gupta.
Thank you, Dr. Ubad. Dr. Ashok Kumar, can you hear me, please, well?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. So I will.
रिसेप्शन में बता देना वो एक गेट बंद कर दीजिए.
Yes. So the topic is application of geospatial technology in cyclone impact forecasting, web-based DCR and DSS, a case study. So the word DCR and DSS, just for the users who are not from the cyclone background, this is a dynamic composite risk atlas and decision support system. This is a web-based application which has been developed on open source geotechnology, and this was developed under NCRMP program, and this application has been installed at IMD recently. it has been tested in the 4 cyclones, but right now it's like security audit is pending. So once its security audit is complete, we will be giving training to all the 13 coastal states and UTs in India. So just a background, and now as a case study, I have taken case study of a cyclone Amphan, which we worked during a live event. We given based on IMD forecast, IMD bulletin, we have developed several scenarios which were almost during the lifetime of the cyclone, and I will be presenting those those analysis. So as you know, super cyclone Amphan, it was a super cyclone when it was in the sea, but when it made the landfall, it made a landfall as a very severe cyclonic storm. So this cyclone Amphan, it was a very catastrophic cyclone, and it happened in May 2020. On May 20, it made the landfall. It was the first super cyclone after the 1999 Orissa super cyclone. Sustained wind speed was 155 to 165 km per hour, gusting to 185 km. It was experienced in West Bengal and Orissa. There was a widespread damage observed in West Bengal and adjacent district of coastal Orissa to building, infrastructure, and agriculture. So huge damage were happened. This is a cyclone track. You can see very well that its path, and it made a landfall on wind speed validation associated with cyclone Amphan. So we did even validations because IMD predicted this track, and based on track, even we have modeled the cyclonic wind, and you can see that maximum sustained wind IMD observation was of 241 km, and the model sustained wind was 248 km. So with a very minor deviation of about 2.3%. And when it made the landfall, that was IMD observation was 157 km, and the model was 155 km per hour. So that was on the wind speed. You can see that these are the water level validation from the for this super cyclonic storm Amphan, and this was the storm surge estimate of the inundations. The input are from inquiries. So you can see very well that even there were observation by field observation by IMD at three locations. You can see that at Kishandaspur flood depth was 4 meter, and Govardhanpur flood depth was 3.3 meter, which are quite good match with the observation. This map was developed by RMSI on the combined flood inundation map, including storm surge along the coast. So here also we have shown that these two places of observations, and you can see that their matching is quite good at Kishandaspur and both Govardhanpur. Then RMSI also developed, because under DCR and DSS, we can estimate impact of cyclonic wind, storm surge, as well as cyclone-induced rainfall due to flooding. Because if you say cyclone itself is a multi-hazard. It creates damage from 3 forms: through cyclonic wind, through storm surge, inundation due to, and cyclone-induced rainfall. So you can see on the left, this is a flood damage, flood hazard on the left. On the right, it is a storm surge hazard. So inundations due to both the hazards. This exercise was also compared with, there is a HR Wellingford model, which is a global model, and you can see on the right, HR Wellingford model, it modeled the surge-based inundations. So if you see the comparison, we have shown even the comparison of the two, left developed by RMSI and right by the HR Wellingford. We have also shown the comparison how HR Wellingford model has a limitations. So you can see overall in HR Wellingford model, only a few tehsils are shown, and WebDCR and DSS database we have up to tehsil level. In fact, we have population up to village level in our application. In general, the HR Wellingford computed affected population estimates are much lower than WebDCR and DSS estimates. You can see on the right and left on the table that there is a huge difference in the numbers. What are the key difference from this global model and the model WebDCR and DSS? RMSI uses the final resolution DTM, that is 10 meter DTM up to study area of 10 meter above the mean sea level. And then further modeling of flood, we have used the SR10 30 meter. While this HR Wellingford model, it uses 90 meter DTM. So that itself is the first difference. Then RMSI considers both impact of storm surge as well as precipitation, while HR Wellingford consider only the surge effect on the flood elevation. RMSI model uses hydraulic as well as hydrologic as well as hydraulic model for flood inundation, while HRMWF consider only the storm surge. RMSI model include northern part of West Bengal, which was also under flood during Amphan, whereas you can see HR Wellingford model covers only the coastal flooding. RMSI uses IMD forecasted WRF rainfall data and thus gives a good degree of confidence on the input of the flood. RMSI wind model velocity matched very well with the IMD forecasted wind speed, which also gives a good reliable picture on the storm surge. This is the application landing page. Here we have three type of users. When you say click users, so users are that, like at the state level, one is a user which can just see the results and analysis. Another is a like super user who has a rights to change the data and edit the data, and super user at the state level and super user at the center level. In center level, IMD and NDMA has a status of super user where they can see data or edit data for any coastal state, any 13th of the coastal state and UTs. So these are the three type of users. One is journal user, another is user from the state who is a admin user, who is a like nodal officer who can edit the data. This is a dashboard of the web page. You can see here I have logged it to the on this slide RMSI WV West Bengal. On the right side, if you see, there is a real-time cyclone impact forecasting button. So this works in the real time. On the left panel, you can see it has a like cyclone history from 1891 to 2020, all the cyclones here. Then exposure at risk you can do, and then population at risk under different category of houses, kacha, pakka, semi pakka. And then we have also given the technical user guide. We have also given the detailed metadata, hazard maps. All hazard maps are available, probabilistic hazard map for all the 13 coastal state UTs. And then other links from inquiries and other links from different. So when I say in real time, this application has been made fully automatic now. Like it will take automatically wind and rainfall forecast from IMD and search forecast from the inquiries. And there is no human intervention, complete analysis can be done automatically. So these are the files which I am sharing that goes into it in the applications. So the moment these files goes into the application, this real-time cyclone impact forecasting and risk assessment, the analysis takes about an hour to complete, and you will see this kind of picture where you see the most affected districts. So it will highlight what are the most affected districts. You can do the map viewer. You can analyze, see the exposure at risk. It generates reports also, automatic reports of hazard and risk assessment combined. I will show those as an example. And it gives the detail of the event info, like what was the wind speed range, what was the flood depth range, surge height range, how, what are the exposure in the, and on the risk side also, it has a risk meter also. Risk is low, medium, or high. It also provides like name of the cyclone, then category, etc., and links to other sites, inquiries, IMD. So just I have a small movie so that you can see that it has all the facility. You can zoom in on a particular area. Lot of features are there to see and to see the impact in real time. So you can see that it has picked up a wind hazard. It now has all the layers, and you can plot them, you can zoom them. All analysis could be done. So you can see now it has plotted the flood hazard. You can do the exposure at risk analysis. You can change the scenario level. You want to do a district level or you want to do a analysis at state level, and you can select the hazard. You can select all the exposure element which you want. There are like utilities, railway line, roads, seaport, transport, lot of all the exposure elements from residential, commercial, industrial building, from taking from that to population as well as. So all the exposure element can be chosen, and you can do the like run scenario and it will analyze. So this is another page where it is showing that what are the loss maps under different categories like low, medium, high. You can even zoom in and you can see, okay, through the exposure overlay hazard and exposure overlay analysis, what are the like my fire stations which are coming under low damage zone or a high damage zone or a extreme damage zone. Similarly, you can analyze all type of exposure elements like hospital, railway lines. Lot of data is there for the various exposure elements. You have boundaries from village to tehsil to district and state admin boundaries. So if you have an admin boundary, then you can analyze even that level of the report. Next. So in this RMSI approach, we did is WebDCR and DSS estimated wind affected buildings and infrastructure counts and loss numbers. At surge input files for inputting flood model, surge level at river mouth. We generated flood and surge inundation affected building and infrastructure count and loss numbers. Generated GIS maps and reports from WebDCR and DSS. RMSI made several runs on IMD track forecasted at different dates and times. And I'm presenting few results corresponding to bulletin of May 18, 2020 at 20:30 hours. So this was the wind map from the cyclone Amphan. This was the affected population from the wind hazard. You can see there are like densities also that affected population even in different parts and their densities. And it generates an automatic like report. Here I'm showing like affected count. You can see the exposure element, residential building, commercial building, industrial, fire station, police station, cyclone shelters, schools, airport and runway, seaport, power plant, railway stations, electric lines, roads, oil and gas, railway lines. And you can see how much is their total number or total count or total length. And what were the affected count. This is a surge map for forecast for that at that time of that date. Then what are the like storm surge hazard, what are the different districts which got affected, what are the different tehsil, and what was the water levels at different tehsil levels, maximum water levels. And this is again in West Bengal, what was the affected population from the surge. This is a combined map from flood and surge inundation. And this is a affected count from the surge in West Bengal. This is a, then we come to the losses. So these are the estimated losses from Cyclone Amphan in West Bengal from wind and surge. You can see how much is the exposure in lakh, what is the loss numbers, and what is the percentage of damage. Loss by category, different losses by categories. This is a wind hazard associated for the part of the Orissa. This is a population impacted from cyclone impact in the Orissa. Same way surge height from say in different parts. So range was 0.2 to 2.4 meter, and on the leftmost corner you can see that Lesant. And what are the again tehsils in Odisha which got affected? What was the maximum water levels there? Then what was the damage estimated loss by category from wind and surge for Odisha? And these are the flood inundation map. And what are the loss estimates from flood and in Odisha as well as in West Bengal? And I have a link for detailed report which are generated by the system. So I would like to show the report, the kind of report it generates. So you can see this report. So this is a type of report it generates. This is a 24-page report. It's combined for the both the states. So it generates report 22 page. It generates the situation report for an individual state. You can generate for a specific district, or you can generate even a combined report. What is the combined impact? So you can see that it provides quite good detail. What is the scenario? What is the analysis level? Analysis was done at state level, state names of West Bengal and Odisha. Hazard types are all combined hazards. Model scenario cyclone Amphan study area is area up to 10 meter from the sea level, the part of the areas of all the 13 coastal states. And what are the exposure analyzed? You can see all the exposure elements that has been analyzed. You can analyze one or more. It is a choice of user. These are then wind map. So surge map. Then this is a combined flood and surge map. So this is a surge hazard map. Again,
So,
this is for part of Orissa.
Actually, report is not seen now. Report is not opening.
Oh, sorry.
It's not there.
Okay, I need to, I think, share it again on the screen. I think let me try to present it.
You just share the entire screen. From there you can select.
Okay.
Whichever you want in the bottom menu bar.
Yeah. So I need to go to.
Just come out of the things and
yeah, stop sharing.
Then share again, but choose the entire screen.
Okay.
Main computer screen. Okay, something. I'm not coming.
I'm not able to. Just a second, please. Let me try again.
Okay.
Yeah.
The technological disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are dealing with this.
Actually,
you can see your menu bar wherever below.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not able to find out. Okay.
Just make an escape button, then you may see menu bar.
Yes. Here. Okay. Now I could get it. Okay. This is it. Yeah.
That you can
share content and. Data card monitor. Should I take this? When I say screen one, okay. Should I take screen one? Yeah, and
Yeah, now it is.
okay, now I
Now
can
you
take
can
this.
choose from your menu
Yeah.
bar, whichever
Okay,
you want.
fine. So,
Yeah.
yes, okay, it's here. Now, is it seen?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So this is the first page. You can see here a real-time application. So situation report. These are the like scenario level. You can see state West Bengal. Hazard types are combined. Model scenario, cyclone Amphan, and you can see the exposure elements. All this residential building, commercial building, industrial building, fire station, hospital, police station, cyclone shelter, school, airport, runways, bridges. So it can take all these all the exposure element. It also provide all the hazard map, population impacted, and different hazard maps as I presented. Then loss for individual elements, loss by categories like exposure type, then building types, essential facilities, transportation loss, utility loss, loss at districts, then different district level analysis also is there. Then hospitals in different districts, what was the like total exposure count, how much was the affected, how much is the exposure in lakhs, what is the wind loss, what is the flood loss, what is the surge loss, and what is the combined loss. So you can see that all these kind of analytics and details analysis, it can provide like within an hour when a cyclone is approaching. So we can do a response in advance and a lot of planning purposes. These estimates could be useful, because if you see after after a disaster, this PDNAs are conducted. They takes months after the events, that reports for the estimates, but these can be done like just during the when a cyclone is approaching. So that's the advantage of such system, and it can be useful in decision making. So you can see this kind of reports. It can generate even exposure report. It can generate other reports related to exposure elements. You can see for any district or any tehsil, you can find out what is the exposure. If I go to again my presentation, I need to stop here and share it again, or it will take me presentation. Yeah, let me see. Okay, so this was my last slide. I just have one recommendation. The recommendation is that all the state and UTs, we are going in the like next session, and in that next session, all the state and UTs, they need to help in updation of the exposure database. So the more corrective, because as you know, risk is dynamic, exposure is changing with time. So the better is the exposure data, better is the result of the assessment. Thank you.
Very, very good presentations, and really it was a very important case study presented by you for real-time decision support system, and it was very well linked with the NCM RWF and the IMD data.
Yes.
For my curiosity, I would like to know from you, is what you shown the web decision support system, it is only up to the district level, or district and below also it will be possible?
No, it takes into account up to the village level information.
Village level information, very
Yes.
good. And because we have because of the shortage of the time, I would request you to answer the questions which you got from the chat box.
Yeah, sure. Actually, this kind of presentation, it takes almost half a day or a day, in fact. So I tried.
It was an excellent presentation by
yeah,
you, and very good case study.
Yeah,
Thank you. Now I would invite today's very important and the last speaker of this session, Madam Seema Joshi. I think Mr. Sood would like to introduce before. Yeah.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much, Sushil Gupta ji. Thank you so much for your very intriguing presentation. It's always.
Thank you. I have even left my email ID on the chat box, so anybody would like to ask any questions. So
yeah, that'll be wonderful. Yes, thank you.
Most welcome. Thank you.
The final presentation of the day, I would like to invite Madam Seema Joshi She's the General Manager and Head Strategic Pre-Sales Technology and Solutions at ESRI India. Thank you so much, Ms. Joshi, for joining us. We had Mr. Agendra Kumar yesterday, the President ESRI, during our inaugural session, and he shared very interesting insights on the, on various subjects which are relevant, something from a technology perspective, and which ESRI is also looking into. And I would like to thank you again and ESRI for supporting this initiative of FICCI and NIDM. Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to quickly introduce Ms. Joshi as a passionate GIS professional with over 24 years of experience in geospatial technologies, enterprise GIS solutions, handling strategic initiatives, capacity building, and quality management. Her specialization includes strategic and technical consulting, solution architecture and designing, along with standardization, data modeling, and cartography, conceptualizing and designing domain-specific enterprise GIS solutions. She's a quality expert, certified ISO lead auditor, and has experience of handling strategic pre-sales technologies, innovation, enterprise GIS solutions architectures at ESRI India, and has established ESRI India's Innovation Hub, which is ESRI's India Open Data Gateway. Worked at the Lal Bahadur Shastri, Masuri as a GIS consultant as well. So with that experience and that background, I would now request Madam Joshi to take on from here for her presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, FICCI and the team here, honorable members, to providing this opportunity to share our experiences and what all we have. How we can leverage geospatial technologies. We have very good sessions today from IMD and RMSI team. Now, I just wanted to bring in some more additional aspect on top of it, that how we can or we need to use geospatial technologies for effective cyclone resilience. So with that, I hope I am audible and my screen is completely visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So, okay. So maybe I'll. Yeah. So as per the topic of the day, we all know, we are all aware that whenever there is any disaster, any cyclone or any hazard, these are some of the fundamental questions which we need to answer as soon as the disaster is experienced, where it happened, where this, how much area is vulnerable and all that. So with that, as we all know, since all hazards are directly related and they are spatial in nature, that is where geospatial technologies can play a key role in end-to-end phases of disaster management life cycle. As our previous sessions also, they have talked about that in all phases of disaster management, GIS technologies can be effectively leveraged, and so as in cyclones also, it can be very effectively leveraged. So what I'm just trying to bring in here, some of the glimpses of some good work done by various agencies already using GIS spatial technologies. And here, we have already seen one great session by ma'am, Sunita ma'am, regarding from this IMD, that how they are analyzing various data, satellite imagery, sensors and all, and then they are generating various forecasting and various reports for the cyclone responses, for cyclone monitoring and all. In the same way, INCOIS is also monitoring and they are using this technology heavily. This particular INCOIS has implemented this solution when we have in one of the discussions we have shown that we have not experienced these kind of casualties if we have proper solution in place, and this is the one POC pilot we have shown to them, and that is where they have implemented complete full-fledged solution, and now we all see the results. How this very effectively they are supporting not only to India, but even to international agencies. If we come to NDMA, we have again, Sunil ji has just presented one case study for the disaster. NDMA, NDMA is core users of geospatial technologies, and we too have implemented a number of solutions there, including this COVID, in the recent COVID management, all different kinds of analytics and decision support systems for different kinds of requirements, including national migrant systems, and when it comes to the oxygen, or when it comes to the quarantine breach and all. So all those different kinds of applications were configured, and they have very effectively used, I must say that. Now, just one or two more, and then I'll come to the main point here. Like KSNDMC, this is again one of the very good implementations, statewide implementation of GIS, geospatial technology, where they are providing this on the basis of this early warnings. They are sending messages not only to the officers, but to the community, to the fishermen communities also, using these mobile, through these integrated mobile towers and distribution communication systems. So they are not only touching to the officials, but sending messages to the officials, but even sending messages to the roaming population inside those areas who are coming as a tourist also from outside. So these are different kinds of good GIS systems in place. And another one, there are many actually, but I have just tried to bring in some key ones here. And if you look at this Andhra Pradesh AP SDMA, there also this particular platform was implemented very effectively, and they are monitoring the lightning, even the various disasters and hazards, and even this lightning, which is one of the major challenge to the coastal regions. So they are using this system to integrate different live feeds from different sources, ECMWF and all, and then they are generating those outputs and then sending alerts and messages to the affected areas and locations and communities. So this is, these are some of those case studies. Well, there are many global case studies where we have those different kinds of hazards which are handled and managed by various authorities and agencies. So coming to this crux and the main point of the day here, like although we have good systems in place in India, year on year we keep experiencing different kinds of losses due to cyclones. These losses are getting reduced over a period of time as people have started using more and more of geospatial technologies. But still, we feel that there is a scope where we can make it further efficient and robust if we really want to make society and communities as a resilient towards cyclones. Then there are few more aspects we need to handle and we need to take care. And that is what I'm going to touch upon here. As we know, again, I'm just giving this snapshot here for the COVID. We are using technology from long, but still, there are many gaps which we have experienced during this COVID response as well, that every information, everything was available, but in silos, not integrated, not brought at the common platform, not into the shape where decision makers and even all different kinds of users can take decision upon. So with that, what I'm trying to bring in here, that in India, globally, but of course in India also, we have very good, excellent data available. We have Census of India, even the household level information they are maintaining and managing. We have live feeds coming from all different kinds of global sources, NASA, NOAA, FEMA and all. And then we have IMD, which is very precisely predicting and generating all these outputs through models. We have technical experts who are globally renowned and all. We have technologies, hardware, software, everything. Advanced solutions, algorithm, everything is there. But still, why? there are still, what is the gap? So that is where what we feel, that as of now we have everything, but in silos. We have different departments, they are working in their own capacities, and then they are excellent in their works, and they are generating outputs and all. But whenever there is any emergency, whenever there is any disaster, cyclone or any kind of disaster, this information is required to all those different stakeholders and field teams and emergency responders and NDRFs and SDRFs. So all different stakeholders need that information, that too in the middle of the crisis. So that is something where we feel still we need to a little work upon. So we need a kind of collaborative and sharing environment where, in case of any emergency, with the early warnings, we are detecting and predicting, and then all those authorities and stakeholders should get messages, and not only messages. See what they will do if they get a static map with them to see that this is the area which is affected. They need to know which is my telecom tower is getting affected right now. I mean, by this, or maybe in another few hours. So all these information for different stakeholders, maybe PWD may be interested in knowing which are my roads going to be affected, which roads may get damaged. So how to deviate that route and traffic, and also even traffic police may need to know all that information. So I'm just trying to bring in that it's during disasters and hazards, it is not just one authority, one agency has to look into that, but it is a multiple stakeholders, agencies, NGOs, global agencies, and even citizens. They all need to know information, and that too in a very, very short time, quickly. And that is where we need to have some kind of platform where we can bridge all these gaps among all these agencies and geo-enable all emergency support functionaries. We need to enable public works departments, firefighting departments, emergency management, healthcare, public safety, telecom towers and power lines and water lines and everything. So again, I'm just trying to bring in here is that whatever good results we are generating, that needs to be shared among all different stakeholders in such a way so that they can make use of it for immediate decision support requirements. And here, if I see, if I put data, again, as I mentioned, if I give them map, what they'll do with that map? They need some simple to use web apps, mobile apps, that too in the field, so that they can take just quick click a button and they can take decision there and then using that. So we need this kind of framework where we have this feasibility to integrate all different data, information generated by experts, and then that information can be seamlessly shared among all stakeholders with the help of simple to use web apps, mobile apps. And when I come to mobile apps part, I mean, we all are aware, now is the time of the mobile technologies. I mean, more and more technologies, they are converging to the mobile interfaces. So in the field, and when we are talking about any solutions, if I configure, let's say, something for the Android, that may not be accessible for the iOS and all. So we need to have the kind of platform which can support any kind of device. It should be, I mean, device independent, so that whether it is any kind of device or mobile phones people are using, they should be in position to access that information, whatever is required by them. So in nutshell, I mean, what we need finally and what we actually require, and this is where global agencies who are very successful, they have these kind of implementations where all the data from different departments can be integrated and seamlessly accessed. Well, what I'm saying is that, like, for example, it is not one agency who is supposed to bring all data and create all these apps and all. What we are recommending here is that all stakeholders, all agencies who are creating their data, they should be responsible for managing, updating all their data. And that should be seamlessly accessed inside these different kinds of applications. So here, I mean, different thematic layers, topographic layers, maybe Survey of India can give this boundaries of and PWD departments can provide the road networks and all. Health department, maybe MOHFW and health departments can share their health infrastructure related details and all. So that is where I'm coming to, that all these different agencies we should be in position, the platform should be in position which can access information, sensor feeds, drone feeds, and all those different IoT feeds and all, and imagery and all. And then they should be in position, the simple to use maps can be provided and created for the different agencies, whether utilities, infrastructure, public safety and all. I'll be showing you one small quick example also, and then I'll be coming to the main live demo on the Cyclone solution, that how it can help us in all this. So, well, again, I mean, geospatial technologies have lots of things. At the time of emergency, it's not just one data or one information, but we need multiple data sets. When it comes to the cyclones, we even need to know what is the roads affected and which are the what is the condition of traffic and all. So all these information coming from various sources needs to be integrated here. All Earth observation information needs to be integrated. Then we have data from the drones. Maybe we want to monitor it. Well, social media, that is also something very critical for situational awareness. So this all these information for decision support requirements and for the situational awareness, we need to have a framework where we can integrate all these different kinds of information, and then automated way. I mean, Sunil ji has just presented, I mean, how they have executed these models and all. But then these models can be live integrated in the solutions, so that as soon as any cyclone is, I mean, satellite imagery or sensor has detected that, automatically that should generate, this model should generate those outputs, that these are the areas going to be affected in so and so timelines, and then side by side the same information can be accessed by different agencies and users for taking decisions in time. And then not only agencies, but we need to geo-enable all our operation centers and field teams, and for a collaborative, of course, for a collaborative risk resilience. So just as a quick scenario, I'm just showing here in the form of floods. Actually, this is a flood scenario. But if we took it as like how GIS can be used, so whenever there is a flood, so first we need to know which areas are going to be affected. So we have different tools available in GIS. We have hydrographs and all. We can generate that, and HMS, HECRAS and all. Those are integrated components now with this platform. So we can generate, use that and generate in real time, near real time, that these are the areas which are going to be affected in case of any floods. So when we are talking about cyclones, they invariably create flood situations in the urban areas and all. So this is something, I mean, we get to know that this is areas which are going to be affected. And then these many population, male, female, senior citizens, children and all, infrastructure impacted and all. And then we have, I mean, we can plan for response. Like this is something very simple thing, but I mean, food for thought here, that we know, but then we need to deviate our traffic accordingly. So we need to know, the traffic police can use their mobile app, and they can simply mark a point that this area traffic cannot go further, so that to avoid those traffic jams and all, to mobilize in those areas, these kind of applications can be created and provided for the all different kinds of stakeholders and users from different levels. Now I will finally, just in 2 minutes to a few minutes, I'll just show this particular application which we have created. Well, maybe I can show it live, though it is, or maybe I can use here itself. I mean, oh, I think let me show it live. That will make it more interesting. That here, I mean, here what I'm just trying to show here, that we can kind of create this integrated platform. Maybe IMD can take this initiative, NDMA, we are already in discussions with them. So we can have this kind of platform in place which monitors all different kinds of hazards. And whenever there is any hazard is experienced, so I'm just going to talk about one case study of the funny here, where we have integrated and shown you use this data and platform. So as we all know, I mean, GIS has now advanced to such an extent. We are getting live feeds for all different kinds of hazards, and that too, I mean, from all different agencies, global agencies. So we call it the indicators of the planet as well. But here we are talking about all different air quality, drought, wildfire, conservation, deforestation, all cyclones, earthquakes. So we have seen that in some of these applications. Here, yeah. So this is that. Not able to. Okay. Yeah. So here we have seen that these are the earthquake. I mean, these are some of the dashboards USGS and all they are publishing for the earthquakes. Where in real time, in the sense, 1 hour every 1 hour we are getting complete information about the earthquake, and even the shake maps and all they are provided inside this. One interesting thing I just wanted to share, I mean, though it is not associated with the cyclones, but nowadays we have these tools and technologies and imagery available, remote sensing satellites and all, where we are not only, I mean, you might have seen that MODIS, normally the forest fires are being monitored, or different kinds of fires are being monitored by MODIS and these VIRS and all. But in those cases also, we just see a point shown there, and then within the resolution is 375 or maybe 1 kilometer in case of MODIS. But here, if we use, instead of that, if we can try using the Sentinel data, or which is 10-meter resolution, or something, here you can see here in this map right now that the fires, even the flumes of the fire can be visualized. And just imagine, I mean, using this AI tools, AI and deep learning tools, we can automatically, in an automated way, capture these flumes and exact exact location where this and how much area is under impact and all. So these are the kind of technologies we are having already. It's coming. Yeah. So coming. Sorry. In my screen, it is top is dropping again and again. Anyway, so just to bring in further, I mean, there are many use cases and solutions available. But if I put it this way, I mean, we have done one small case study on funny cyclone, and what we have done is we have taken some data from IMD, and we have just tried to show this how this can be be used in the real time. I mean, we can integrate data in the real time, and this particular I and this particular COU can be generated in an automated way by this technology, and then we can monitor how much area is impacted. So considering all those model parameters and everything. And here, if we see, it is, I mean, date wise and all, we can directly see here. Like, for example, this is for 4th April, sorry, 29th of April. And then if I'm talking about anything, I mean, it will show me. And here on the left-hand side, you will see that this parameters are also changing. So let's say if I'm going to 30th of April, then at 12 a.m. in the morning, I mean, this is the status and this population impacted. Now, one thing I just wanted to bring in here is that when we consider only, I mean, state level, district level, village level, normally in our calculations, people consider that total population of the village or total population of the district, which is under impact. But here, if you see in this particular site, in this cone, here maybe some districts are fully impacted, but some districts or some villages might be partially impacted. So, and partially impacted also, there may be a possibility that 50% of that area of the village is under forest, where there is no infrastructure, where there is no population staying at all. So here, all these left-hand side, these population parameters which we are seeing are on the basis of those advanced algorithms which calculates the exact habitations and exact population residing in habitations and that too in the projected populations. So that way, if a district or if a village where only partial area, maybe 50% area is impacted, out of that 50% area, maybe half of the area is under forest. So it will consider all those things and then calculate accordingly. So this will give authorities the precise measurements about how is the damage and how is the impact. Now, just one last thing I just to show here, like for example, I have this cyclone here on this 30th of April. And then I can see in a quick way here, I mean, how much population is under impact. And then I may want to know some more details, like as an authority. As an authority, I just need to know, I'll just take 2 minutes more. So as an authority, I just need to know that inside this particular cone, I mean, inside this cyclone, how many health facilities are there? So it will directly show me that these are the health facilities which are under impact. And let's say if I select something, it will zoom to that one. So that is the kind, and we can might as well export this data in the form of table, and it will directly give me the complete details of the health facilities and about their complete details and how much area is under impact and all. So that way I can provide all this. And similarly, as a citizen, let's say assuming as a citizen or some authority here, if I'll just simply put it that within 10 kilometers of this area, how many police stations, how many different locations are there. So it can provide me all this information, and that too I can even use that driving directions and everything. So, well, I'm not looking at the paucity of the time. I'm not going into the much detail here, but in a nutshell, I'm just trying to bring in here that we have in GIS, in geospatial technologies, there are many, it's not only just I can say, data, information and outputs, but at the end of the day, it needs to reach to the respective stakeholders and that too in a simple to use apps, mobile apps and web apps and all, so that they need not struggle around the data, and they can simply click on something and then exactly they get whatever they want. With that, thank you so much. And so our overall recommendation is to have a common collaborative platform where seamlessly we can integrate all different data sources required, and then we can have some kind of mechanism where all different kinds of apps, simple apps, can be provided to all different stakeholders and authorities. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for an excellent presentation. Of course, ISRI is a very prominent player in the field of geospatial technology. And you have very rightly said that we need the integrated knowledge geospatial infrastructure for a seamless data at one place, for sharing of the data. All data generating agencies or ministries at one platform for the common public. And you have also shown the development of the technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. This is very much needed and need of the hour to play with the data and information. That information should be converted into the knowledge, and knowledge should be in the form of action for the helping the common citizen. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Mr. Sood, should I conclude, because we have a shortage of a time already? Yes, we have crossed 2:20. So, so should I conclude the session?
Yes, please, sir. Please go ahead. Thank you so much. Yes.
So we all know the role and importance of the geospatial technology. Very recently in the pandemic COVID-19, we have all found the tracing, tracking, and dashboard daily status. Madam has very rightly said that this is a very important thing. Geospatial technology played very important role. Of course, we have heard the previous speaker in the previous sessions. They have also explained how the geospatial technology is important, like power grid, Adani, all. We all know. Actually, like Madam Sunita explained about the prediction of the weather forecasting for the cyclone. Important is that prediction is very important and very helpful. It can minimize the losses of life, but we have not reached exactly to minimize the losses or damage of the property. First time in India after Fani took place in the Orissa, the damage assessment mapping and its impact study has been carried out, where we all found that this is very, very important to minimize the loss of the property by the prediction, by the use of geospatial technology, by any other means. Of course, we all are doing the technology or information for the knowledge about our head National Geospatial Program, Dr. Datta, made mention in his introductory remarks that knowledge always should be converted into the action, and again it should be converted into the impact to help the people. We should come with the recommendations how all the agencies sharing the data at one platform. Of course, Chandan Ghosh is here. We have already had a brainstorming session for the spatial disaster risk reduction, because now not it is the time of the disaster management, it is disaster risk reduction by all, by any mean, for anything. Not only the cyclone, any kind of a disaster, we need our preparedness, planning and action as well as knowledge. And we have very good presenter today and very nicely presented how and what they have made the changes in the technology and how it is serving and empowering the common citizen. With these words, I am very much thankful to the FICCI and NIDM and all the eminent speakers to listen in detail about today's role of geospatial technology and its importance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashok, for rounding that up, and I think it was really a very practical and very solution-oriented session, and I think we are getting a lot of feedback from the audience, also, which is almost 400 in number on our Byte platform. I think this is what this eConclave is all about. So we discussed policy, we discussed systemic gaps, and we are talking about solutions as well. And I think this is the reason why so many stakeholders from the industry, from regulators, and even international UN agencies have agreed to be a part of this initiative. And I can't thank enough the three eminent speakers who really enlightened us today on the role of geospatial technologies from different perspectives. I think the private sector and the government, this is a classic example. Geospatial is one area where private sector and government is anyways very actively working on a mode. Like ESRI and RMSI, they are working with state governments, with national authorities, national government agencies, ministries. I think this is a classic testimony where all stakeholders realize the importance of geospatial technologies, and I'm glad that we had partners in shape of ESRI and RMSI for conducting this conference, for this eConclave. And also thank you so much to the platform, National Geospatial Platform at DST, headed by Dr. Datta and with Dr. Ashok Kumar being a part of the same team. I think it's a golden opportunity for the audience, which has recognized a few areas. They've asked us a few questions. We'll direct those questions to the speakers, directly post this session. And we would expect the speakers to please answer those questions so that we can, forward those answers to the seekers. So on that note, I think we've successfully completed the second day of this 3-day conclave on fostering cyclone resilience. I think we couldn't have asked for more. I think we've got more than we had set out for, with speakers like Sunita ji, Dr. Gupta and Ms. Joshi, and of course with Dr. Chandan Ghosh, and observing very acutely what has been talked about. And I'm sure with support of DST also, Dr. Ashok, we will come out with, we will share recommendations with something even Dr. Datta mentioned yesterday during the inaugural, that the NGP at DST would expect some active recommendations to come out of these deliberations, which can be taken up by the government. So I think we have the third day tomorrow, the third and final day. We have two very interesting technical sessions. One would be the role of first responders in cyclone management. There would be case studies, and I think everyone would be equally excited as I am to hear those case studies from speakers of Indian Coast Guard, from Earth Networks, from OSDMA. Well, they have pioneered the art of dealing with cyclones. They've been the most affected in the last 25-30 years. So hearing from them, their role, their experience would be a great learning experience, and something which a lot of initiatives on subjects of disaster risk reduction. I think I don't want to take credit for this as organizer, but you would realize that we have a speaker from NIMHANS, which is the apex institute for mental health in the country. They have been recently given a go-ahead on a dedicated center for psychosocial support in disaster management. And the associate professor there, Dr. Jayakumar, would be talking on a role of first responders, and perhaps one of the first responders, and it's a very important subject he will be talking about. I think these speakers, and the session will be chaired by none other than Dr. Muzaffar Ahmed, who is an eminent a doctor, a personality, a former member of the National Authority. I think we are heading for a great session tomorrow, technical session 5 and technical session 6, a role of insurance in climate resilient infrastructure. I think the title says it all. I think we all know how important the role of insurance sector is. And we have speakers from Swiss Re, which is a reinsurance company, a concept which a lot of consumers are not aware of. We are aware of insurance, but not about reinsurance. And I think he would be putting more light on that. And of course, from Tata AIG, we have a senior speaker, Madhukar Sinha, and we are expecting an ICICI Lombard expert also talking on the subject. So on that note, I think, as I said, we are all equally, I'm sure, must be excited for tomorrow's deliberations on two important subjects of role of first responders and insurance. On that note, I would say bye-bye and namaskar to all the eminent speakers and all the participants who are connected with us. Thank you so much, everybody, for your great commitment and sharing your thoughts. And I would again like to thank ESRI, RMSI, GAIL India, Indian Oil, and Power Grid Corporation for their immense support in organizing and putting together this eConclave. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, and have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Sood.
Thank you. Especially, I have sent special invitation to all the speakers over here to have a more detailed session with NIDM on its web platform. And you can see the chat box, and we'll sure that with DST, that which is coming forward to make a disaster risk reduction plan for the country, definitely geospatial on the NGP, that geospatial with what the presentation that we had today. These are especially the last presentation and that RMSI presentation, that where integration is required and we have to work in the same seamless platform. And from NIDM side, we are looking forward to have more such things to make it as a national grid. So that, from next event onward, we should not look at outside India when we have got so much of things in our country. So it is a time that with your support and DST and IDM and DMA, all we come. Thank you. Thank you so much from NIDM side for taking all this.
Thank you, sir.
Since
Thank
morning.
you for the invitation.
Thank you so much for your support. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
चंदन घोष NIDM में थे, उसमें